All right, good morning, everybody. Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in to our 2022 Leadership Symposium. Hey, today is going to be life changing. Today is going to be encouraging. It's going to be uplifting. So, hey, I need each one of you to make sure you share, you like, you tag, you invite, get as many people as you can to join us today. And hey, we're looking to help you become a better you. I mean, a better leader. So this leadership symposium is going to be centered around developing the leader in you. Not only that, but helping you pick a successful team. And we're going to go so far as to even talk to you about how to have a servant's heart. Because after all, if you're going to be a successful leader, you got to learn how to serve first. Then we're going to talk to you about having by creating an atmosphere of excellence. All of these things go hand in hand when you want to be a successful leader. So, hey, without further ado, I'm going to bring on some of our special guests who are with us today. We're going to welcome Pastor V. Jesse Smith, who's with us this morning. And Pastor Jesse, say hello to the people this morning.
Empowered greetings to everyone. I'm blessed and honored to be here. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm fired up and ready to go.
I was having a conversation with Pastor Jesse a little bit ago, and talking about how prolific he is, how he's an admirer of Dr. Martin Luther King. I was jokingly saying to him that he memorized all of his speeches and things like that. But that's a great thing. Pastor Jesse is senior pastor of the Way True Church. He's also a major entrepreneur. He's an author. He is, man, a much sought after speaker. He's a husband. He's a father. He's some of everything. He's preached on some of the top stages in America, I should say, with one of the most foremost motivational speakers in the world with Dr. Les Brown. And not only that, he's been on the stage with Miss Bernice King. So I mean, he's been around. He's been around. So to me, that is tremendous. That is phenomenal. So hey, y'all say a good big shout out to Pastor V. Jesse Smith, who's on this morning. All right. Hey, and we want to bring on to the stage right now Miss Shamika Bogart. Miss Shamika Bogart is amazing. She's an entrepreneur. She's a youth advocate. Man, she's beautiful. She's all of that. I mean, there's nothing that she really does not do. She has a heart for the youth, for the communities, and man, you ought to be able to hear her testimony one day as she tells you how she got started in doing what she does in the Antelope Valley or LA County area for the youth. She is also has a master's degree in social work, and man, she is tremendous. She started her own nonprofit organization. So y'all say hello to Miss Shamika Bogart, who's on today. Miss Shamika, greet the
What?
people today as well.
What an introduction. Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody. If you're on the East Coast, good afternoon. It is a pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you so much for being on. But then that, last but not least, hey, is my biological brother, Bishop Tommy S. Brewer. Man, he is an amazing brother. To me, one of the really greatest preachers I've seen in today's generation, and I know there's a Bishop T.D. Jakes and there's Creflo Dollars and people like that. But to me, he's right up there with them. Maybe I'm a little biased because he's my brother, but it is what it is. So he is an amazing man. I don't know anybody else who has a servant heart like him. And so when we're thinking about who could we bring on here to talk about having a servant's heart, he immediately dropped into my spirit. This brother has served so many different pastors. He served them with excellence. He owns his own business. He's a husband. He's a father. Man, he's some of everything. So y'all welcome my brother Bishop Tommy S. Brewer today. And Bishop Brewer, say hello to the people and greet the people today.
Hey man, God bless you all. Thank you, man, for having me. Um, I'm like speaking now with that introduction. I'm not sure how I'm going to live up to all of that, but I appreciate you so much. Great to meet you all for the first time, and to everyone that's listening online, welcome. And we're looking forward to a great symposium. So thanks again.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great time. So listen, let me give you guys some things of what we're gonna get done today. We are going to really talk today. Give every speaker 20 minutes, and they're gonna speak on their science subjects, and they're gonna do it from the heart. If you have questions, we want you to hold your questions until the end. All right, until after every speaker has gone by. I want you to hold your questions, and then after that, we're going to take your question. You can direct your question to any one of the speakers, And if not, we're going to have a panel discussion as well. So we got 2 hours. So we want you to be with us these 2 hours. And I'm telling you, everything is going to be life changing and encouraging. All right. So without further ado, we're going to really get started here with Pastor Jesse. For those of you who don't know, Pastor Jesse is an author. He is a person who really digs deep into leadership. He's really into leadership. I heard the brother preach for the first time maybe about a month and a half ago, or something like that. And I was over there with my mouth open because I'm like, oh my God, this brother is amazing. He is amazing. So hey, do us a favor, make sure you purchase his books. You see them on the screen right now. Purchase his books. Listen, buy him out. Don't let him keep nothing. Buy everything that he has. Make sure he goes home with nothing. So make sure you do that. And so without further ado, we welcome Pastor V. Jesse Smith.
I am so blessed and honored to be here to Pastor Perriman. Thank you so much for the opportunity to come before you, to the Kingdom Faith Center, and to all the conveners of this Kingdom Leadership Symposium, to my co-panelists and speakers with whom I share this awesome stage of leadership this morning. Just want to thank you. Blessed to be here sharing the stage with you. I'm really blessed and honored beyond words to speak on the subject of developing the leader within you. I think that's an awesome subject. I love leadership. I live leadership. I walk leadership. I believe in leadership, and I was born to be a leader and to be in leadership. And guess what? So are you. So are you. In my short talk this morning, I am a pastor, so I preach in the pulpit, and I only got 20 minutes, so it's going to be long to stay within that confinement of 20 minutes. But I'm going to ask God to give me the ability and the restraint to stay within 20 minutes. But in my short talk with you this morning, I want to cover four things really: recognizing and developing the leader within you, the definition of leadership, using your gifts of leadership, and the four qualities I believe every leader must possess. And if I can do that in 20 minutes that I have allocated to speak to you, then I think I would have accomplished the task for which I have been assigned to complete this morning. I am often asked, are you a born leader, or can leadership be developed? Can leadership be learned? And my response has always been the same. You were born to be a leader, and that every leader must be developed. Now, I have a saying that says this: your experience shapes your leadership until your leadership is developed to shape your experience. I can't tell you how many people with whom I have come in contact who tell me, no, I'm not a leader. And they equate leadership with President Clinton or Martin Luther King or President Barack Obama or Mother Teresa and so forth. They are able to see leaders in other people, but they're not able to see leadership within themselves. And so I want to talk to you this morning about really developing the leader within you. Can I say to you this morning that you are a born leader? Not some of you, but every one of you is a born leader. And can I prove this? Absolutely. They tell me that truth needs to be repeated as long as there are those who disbelieve it. So biologists tell us that when we were emitted from our father into the womb of our mother, we were emitted from as a speck of sperm, and it also says that over 100 million sperm cells were also emitted. And that means that you and I were a speck of sperm in our mother's womb, striving towards the completion or at least to get connection to the egg, which we call life. And not only that, but we were released in a hostile work environment on a mission and a purpose for which God created us to connect with life, to establish his kingdom, where not in heaven, but right here on earth. And so, as one who is a speck of sperm, you beat out of 100 million sperm cells to get to the egg. You did that. You beat them all. And they tell me, biologists say, when I was in high school, they say after the one sperm connects with the egg, then all the other sperms become useless and die. That means you beat them out. You led the pack. You were in charge of everybody. You were the leader. And if you were a leader in a hostile work environment in the womb of your mother, then what makes you think you cannot be a leader when you come into the world in what we call this hostile world environment? I want you to know this morning and this afternoon, for those of you on the East Coast, you are a leader. Now, your leadership is so critical because as you were born a leader, there's something inside of you that God did while you were still in your mother's womb to make you a leader. For inside every leader are qualities and gifts that must be developed. nurtured, honed, and manifested to establish the kingdom of God right here on earth. I love what Dr. Miles Monroe said. He said, we were born to be leaders, not over people, but over our gifts. So if we were born to be leaders, not over people, but over our gifts, I believe that we have those gifts right within inside of us. I believe that when you have nurtured your gift and when you have honed your gift and when you have we have developed your calling, then you will have influence, following, and being blessed by your leadership. Now, the definition of, and now that you see that you are a born leader, the definition of leadership is that it's critical. You must begin to see that you were a born leader. And the first thing that a leader does is that they define reality. As a leader, you have got to define your reality. You must begin to see yourself as a leader. As long as you don't see yourself as a leader, no one else will recognize or see you as a leader. And when I say a leader, I don't mean a leader over people. I mean a leader over your leadership gifts that have been deposited within you by God Himself to manifest His glory. Now, and if these leadership gifts, they must be honed, developed, nurtured, and manifested within you. And it is so critical for every leader to define leadership for himself. So how do you define leadership in the short time that I have? Here's one way to define leadership that I want to leave with you this morning, and for you to be able to apply in your life. Number one, I want you to find 3 positive adjectives that describe yourself. I want you to define 3 positive ones, not negative ones. We always look to the negative. I want you to find 3 positive adjectives that describe yourself. It could be loving, that you're energetic, that you're passionate. And then I want you to find your best friend. I want you to find somebody who knows you really well. I want you to find somebody who can literally tell you about yourself because they have such a knowledge with you. I want you to find that one person who's your best friend. And then I want you to ask them to give you 3 adjectives of how they define you. They could define you as bold, as courageous, as loyal. And after you get those 6 adjectives together, I want you to put those adjectives in one sentence. And I want you to start off that sentence with I am. I am a leader who is loving, energetic, and passionate about life. And I approach life with boldness, courageousness, with a loyalty to family and friends. That's leadership defined by you. That's how you would define your leadership. And that's how your leadership will be defined on how you define and describe yourself, which will determine whether people will follow you or whether they will be influenced by you. Now, how do you use these leadership gifts? How do you establish these gifts? Now, once you have defined who you are as a leader, it is critical that you identify gifts that are inside of you. There are gifts inside of you that make you you. Did you hear what I said? There are gifts that are inside of you that makes you you. These are gifts that you were born with and that must be developed and honed and nurtured and cultivated. And as I say gifts, I developed an acronym for what I call gifts. G stands for gene. Gene means beginning. You were born with a gift. You can't run from it. It is inside of you. Even when you try to run from it, it catches up with you. You might want to be Jonah and just try to run from your calling. But even when you get to where you are, there's something that's going to pull you back because there's a calling on your life. There's an anointing on your life. There's a gift in your life that God has deposited within you. And He wants you, not anybody else, but He wants you to establish it. You can't run from it. It's within you. The Bible says in Romans 12:7, if God has given you the gift of prophecy, then you ought to prophesy. If He's given you the gift to teach, then you ought to teach. If He's given you the gift to lead, then beloved family, you ought to be leading. And He says, whatever gift that is within you, take that gift. Don't take it as a joke. Don't take it as a side hustle. Don't take it as something you'll do on the side after you work from 9 to 5. No, if God has given you a gift to speak, then speak. If He's given you a gift to lead, then lead. The I stands for innovation. Innovation. The I means that your gift has to be innovative. You're not like everybody else. God has made you special and unique. And that gift that is inside of you, it may be a gift of you to sing, but don't you know with your singing, You have to be singing. Can't nobody sing like you. Can't nobody talk like you. Can't nobody preach like you. There's a there's a leader in you that wants to come out, that has to be unique and innovative. So what? Somebody else can speak on your same topic that you're speaking on. Guess what? There's a reason why we have Target and we also have Walmart. There's a reason why we have Albertson and we also have Stater Brothers. Each one of them has their own individual gift. And I'm saying to you this morning that you have a gift that nobody else can compete with. You have a gift that nobody else can match. I want you to start manifesting that gift where? Right within inside of you. The F stands for faithfulness. F means that you have to be faithful to your gift because your gift is connected to your dream. Did you hear what I said? Your gift is connected to your dream. And if your gift is connected to your dream, that means you have to make sure that whatever gift you have, you continue it until the day you die. Even if you don't see it manifesting in your present, I want you to know God is still working that gift and developing that gift right within inside of you. Sometimes it's when you are down to nothing, that means God is up to something, and your gift developed right within you. You are not a born leader to rule over people. You are a born leader to rule over your gifts. What does the T stand for? Transformation. T means that your gift must be transforming. It must take up the status. It must, in fact, shake up the status quo. You're not here just to be normal. You're not anybody. Don't you know God made you unique? He made you specific. He made a manifestation of himself. Don't you know that that your gift must destroy mediocrity? It must destroy inferiority. It must show your divinity that manifests God's prosperity. Your gift must be a light in a world of darkness. Your presence must be a light. It must be so bright that folks, when they let me put it this way, your gift must be so bright that it serves as a light that when you start speaking and talking, people start throwing shade on you. That's how much your gift must be. There's a reason why Jesus went to the mountain of Mount Transfiguration. There's something about that transfiguration that leads to transformation. That you have a light among yourself, and you are to have that light shine right within you. What does the S stand for? The S stands for success. S means that your gift is destined to be successful. It's destined to make you successful. When you practice and to manifest your gift, you will be successful at it. But you have to start using the gift that is inside of you in order to start experiencing the success that is destined for you. My dear good friend and mentor and motivational speaker, Les Brown, always says to me, he said, look, you don't have to be great to get started, but check this out. You got to get started in order to be great. You were born for greatness, and to be successful, your gifts inside of you must begin to develop. My favorite book says in Proverbs 18:6, it says that your gifts will make room for you and take you before, watch this, kings and queens. Did you hear what I said? Kings and queens. Jeremiah said, Jeremiah 29:11, God says, look, I know the plans I have for you. They're plans for you to be prosper and to give you hope and also to give you a future. As a leader, you were born for success. Now, get out there, even in this hostile environment, and start using your leadership skills that will shine for the world. What are the 4 qualities of a leader? What are the 4 qualities of a leader that you must develop to be effective? I'm running a little bit fast. I want to make sure I stay within my 20-minute time limit. I want to respect the program. Number 1, every leader must develop within themselves a vision. You must develop your vision. Each of us is given a vision, and that vision has to be given to us by God. I'm not talking about your man-made vision. I'm saying that there's a physical vision and a spiritual vision. And your physical vision focuses on your personal ambition, but your spiritual vision focuses on your vision for humanity, on your vision of divinity. So each of us is given a vision. I'm going to ask you this morning to understand and write out your vision. Be true to your vision. Don't compromise on it. Now, what is a vision? A vision is a picture of the future being worked on in the present. Let me say that again. A picture is a future of tomorrow being worked on in the present. It is a picture of tomorrow being worked on right now. So you need to be working on your vision. You need to be working and developing your vision. Wake up every morning with your vision of what God has called you to do. What has he called you to do with your gifts? What has he called you to do with your life? He put that inside of you. That gift that you have inside of you, not just for you. It is to manifest the kingdom of God right here on earth. So don't keep the vision in your head. Write it down. Habakkuk says, write the vision, and they who see it will run. Never substitution for personal ambition. Personal ambition operates from the flesh ego, while spiritual vision operates from your divine God power. Discipline is another thing I want you to focus on. Leaders must discipline themselves to lead. As a leader, you don't do what everybody else do. You stand apart from them. If you are a leader in the kingdom of God, you are in the world, but you are not of it. So discipline yourself. Discipline. Don't let things on the outside of you govern the things on the inside of you. Don't let money lead you. Take that money and have that money. Don't let hunger make you eat more than you need to eat that's necessary. You discipline your stomach. I'm in charge of my stomach. I tell those hunger pains when they come, I'm the leader over you, and I'll tell you what to eat and how to eat it and when to eat it. Discipline yourself. If you have to burn the oil at night, then burn the oil at night to get that degree. Burn the oil at night to get that master's degree or to open up your business. The poet was right. Heights of great men and women were reached and kept, were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, stood up with toiling through the night. Dr. King even made it more. He said, if you can't be a highway, just be a trail. If you can't be the sun, then be a star. For it isn't by size that you win or you fail. You need to be the best of whatever you are. That's developing the leader inside of you. Discipline yourself. What's the other one? Mentorship. Mentorship. Every leader must have a mentor. Did you hear what I said? Every leader must have a mentor. If you're going to be a leader, you must have a mentor in your life. Why mentorship? Because mentorship helps your leadership. Could there have been a Mike Tyson without a custom model? Could there have been a Martin Luther King Jr. without a Dr. Benjamin Elijah Mays? Could there have been a James, Peter, or John without a man named Jesus the Christ? Mentorship is the key to developing great leadership. Why? Because you can never see the big picture while you're still in the frame. So find a mentor to help develop the leader inside of you. Even if you think you know it all, there's always something to learn. I have been doing many interviews for the media and talking to a number of people, but I got a call yesterday from a major news reporter who said to me, Jesse, I want to talk to you about doing interviews and about putting together press release. And I had some people around me, and I said I would be honored to sit under your tutelage to learn how to do that. And when the meeting was over with and the interview was over with, the person who was with me, they said, man, Jesse, you've been doing this a long time, but I see even though you've been doing it a long time, you're still willing to allow people to mentor you in order to develop your leadership. I believe in mentorship. I believe that has to be developed in all of us. Finally, my friends, as I close, I think I got like 2 minutes left. Note that leaders always become students. Leaders are always students. And then the last thing I want to say to you about leadership and developing within you, and I want to just slow down a little bit so that you really understand what I'm saying here regarding leadership. Number one of the most, let me put it this way, more than vision, more than discipline, and even more than mentorship that will make you a successful leader is the development of your character. The development of your character. Dr. John C. Maxwell said this. He said, your gifts may get you into the door, but it is your character that will keep you there. You will never rise higher than your character. How you present your character in the public is how you should live your character in private. Your character should not change, as the letters in the alphabet are called characters because they never change. So you should use so your character should never change. How you see me on Sunday in the pulpit is how you should see me on Friday and Saturday in any venue that you see me at. Did you hear what I said? How you see me today is the same way how do you see me tomorrow. What's your character like? Your leadership will be focused on your character. If you have the right attitude, your character will take you to the next altitude. Your character will always reach people before you get a chance to ever meet people. Did you hear what I said? Your character will reach people even before you ever meet them, people will be talking about your character, and they'll be saying, oh, he's flicking on this area, or he's committed to this area, or he's loyal, or she's the. Know what your character is. Your character will always reach people before you ever get a chance to meet with them. And then remember this, you can destroy with your character. Let me get that right. You can destroy with your character what you have built up years with your gift. You can destroy with your character what you have built up years with your gift. You have been a great leader, a great speaker, a great organizer, a great teacher, a great preacher, but when you have compromised your character vitiate all of what your leadership skills have accomplished. And so be careful. Never allow your gifts to outmaneuver your character, your integrity, or your authenticity. Why must leadership character be developed in you? I love the way Dr. Miles Monroe summed it up. He said, because of a lack of character in leadership, we have charismatic leaders without character. We have gifted leaders without conviction. We have powerful leaders without principles, intellectual leaders without morality, visionary leaders without values, and spiritual leaders without consciousness. My friends, you were born a leader. You were born for greatness. And I know we live in a hostile work environment, but you have got to let your leadership shine. So my friends, there is no mountain in which you cannot climb. There is no valley through which you cannot walk. And there is no mountain over which you cannot climb. And though sometimes your back may be pushed against the fence, I want you to know, as a born leader, you were born for greatness. And therefore, you were born to win. God bless you.
Pastor Jesse, you off the chain today, man. You are off the chain today.
I'm fired up, brother. Ready to go. Thank you so much.
We have a lot of comments and things like that. But listen, I need everybody who's watching today. I need you to, if you got questions, I need you to hold your questions now, because what we're going to do is take questions from this panel here. Every speaker has spoken. And hey, I'm telling you, there's a wealth of information here to help you become a better leader. So, hey, let's give Pastor Jesse another big hand clap. I'm quite sure some of our, let me just hear from my panelists really quickly. I saw she big waving her hands when you start making certain quotes. My brother was probably ready to jump out of his seat when you start giving Les Brown quotes. So y'all give us some quick feedback before we move on.
I was backstage acting up. I'm like, snap, got me ready to run. Yes, amazing.
What about you, Bishop Brewer?
Man, the whole thing messed me up, and I saw how he got through it in 20 minutes. So God bless him. But anyway, the character, and you messed me up with the character. The letters never changing. And so I was just thinking about how all letters come together to form. So even in this setting, you got different letters that come together to form excellence. So, man, that really kind of resonated with me. So you might hear that again somewhere. You might hear that again somewhere.
I might use that one too, brother. That's good. I love that.
Yeah. So, man.
All right. Well,
but
hey,
everything was excellent.
We're gonna put Pastor Jesse and Pastor Brewer in. They're gonna put them backstage in the green room right now. Let Pastor Jesse go have him a cup of coffee or some water or something to refresh, to get his throat back right. Because I thought we heard a Hammond B3 organ in the background. That's what I actually thought, that there was gonna be some hooping and closing at the end. Oh, that's what I thought we heard. But nevertheless, we having a great time. So we sending my brother and Pastor Jesse in the background to the green room. So without further ado, we have Miss Shamika Bogart, who's with us today. And Shamika's going to be talking about how to develop a successful team, because you can have all the vision in the world, but until you have a successful team, that vision ain't going nowhere. Welcome, Miss Shamika. Well, how are you today?
I'm fired up. I need to run.
All right. Well, we get ready to turn you loose and let you go for it.
Awesome. So I was not prepared for Pastor Jesse. Today I was like, I'm gonna teach. He turned on my motivational speaking hat. I'm ready to like go. That is amazing. So I hope y'all are ready too. So just a little bit about myself. I am born and raised in California, and from a young age, I was put in charge of people's teams. That could be people's kids, that can be sports teams, Bible studies. In middle school, I was a part of a leadership team and I was planning all of the events for the whole school. And then also in high school, I was in color guard. I was the captain in 10th grade. So that's early, right? They wait till you're a junior or senior. I was already a captain. And then after high school, I ended up coaching. And then when I went to college, I started leading small groups and dorm Bible studies. So who knew I would be a business owner? But like Pastor Jesse said, you are born a leader, right? And then people develop that skill in you and help you to see that leadership and to actually utilize those leadership skills. So as a kid, I was always leading, leading, leading. Of course, God knew I was going to be a business owner and be leading other people and teaching people to lead. But I did not know growing up. Now I know, right? So for y'all in the comments, I want y'all to interact with me. Please drop your ideas, put your opinions and stuff in there. I want you guys to put what a successful team is to you. What attributes do your teammates have? Would you like them to have? If you already have a decent team, what stands out that's good about a successful team? So some of us may think about our teammates, our team members are on time. They get the work done. Everybody gets along. So put in the comments, because we can see these comments. So put in the comments what a successful team looks like to you. Okay. So good leaders know that we cannot do everything alone. Pastor Perryman mentioned Exodus 18 last week in Bible study. For those that were not in Bible study, I want to share with you Exodus 18, and I'm going to highlight verse 17, 18, 21, and 23. This is about Moses, and he was helping people with their disputes. If they got in arguments and stuff, he was helping them to find solutions. So in verse 17, Moses' father-in-law said, "It is not good. It's not good that he was doing everything on his own." He said, "You're going to wear yourself out and the people too. This job is too heavy a burden for you to handle all by yourself." So if Moses could not handle everything by himself, why do we think that we as business owners, business leaders, pastors, ministers, think that we can do everything on our own? Verse 21 says, his father-in-law told Moses, "Select from all the people that are capable, honest, men who fear God and hate bribes, appoint them as leaders over groups of 1,150 and 10. And then 23 says, "If you follow this advice, and if God commands you to do so, then you will be able to endure the pressures, and all the people will go home in peace." When you delegate and you offer different opportunities, different tasks that would burden you to other people, it allows them to use their gifts to help you, and also for everybody to be in peace, and for you as the leader to release that pressure off of you. So here's an example. My nonprofit is Youth with a Purpose. When I started in 2020, I was doing everything by myself. I created self-care bags for the local TAY youth, that's transitional age youth. Those are the youth that may have been homeless or may been on drugs or went to jail, and they just need a little extra support, or even like leaving the foster care system and they need help transitioning into adulthood. When COVID first hit, I created self-care bags for everybody at one of the transitional living facilities. Put journals, coloring books, bath bombs, everything in these self-care kits. I went and shopped for everything. I put my logo on it, did all the bags, and it was fun, but I was tired. I was tired. Now, fast forward to 2021, our banquet, if you guys were at the banquet, or even our toy drive, I had at least 20 volunteers for each, for the banquet and for the toy drive. For the toy drive, I walked into my toy drive and everything was done. Same thing with the banquet. I was able to go home, get dressed, do what I need to do. Why? Because I was able to delegate and share the load versus doing everything on my own. We cannot do things on our own. And especially if we have the vision, it's our job to make sure the vision is getting done. But if we're doing every single task, we're not able to give our best. We're not able to do everything that God has called us to do because we're trying to do everything on our own. So when I started, I was the director, the grant writer, the outreach coordinator, every single role. Impossible. Impossible. There is a quote that we all know. If you want to go fast, finish it in the chat. You want to go fast? Go alone. If you want to go far, go with a team. Go with a team. When you are without a team, you are depleted, overwhelmed, overworked, stressed out, less effective. Yes, less effective, and half full. Half full. When you're doing every single job, you have nothing else to pour out to people. When somebody call you, you're gonna be like, oh, what do they want? Right? Or somebody texts you and you're like, dang, I'm done working. Like, I just need a break, right? You're going to be running on empty because your cup is not full because you're pouring into all these different areas that God did not call you to pour into. If you're called to lead, lead and lead your team well. Don't try and take on every single task by yourself. So I have 5 tips for y'all. Maybe I'll throw in some bonus tips too. So get your pen ready, get your notes ready so y'all can take some notes, okay? All right, so number 1, be aware that if you do not have a team, you will become depleted. You will. So you can say, oh, no, I'm not. I got it. Small business owners, pastors, we think we could do everything. That lasts for a week. That lasts for a month. It can even last for a couple years. But why do small businesses, they close within 5 years? Why? Because something is lacking, right? So do not do it alone. So that was number 1. Be aware that if you don't have a team, that you will become depleted. Okay. Number 2, know your weaknesses. Do a SWOT analysis on your business. A SWOT analysis. So that means assess your strengths, assess your weaknesses, assess the opportunities that are possible for your organization or your company, and then also assess the threats that are coming to your organization. If you are the only leader in your organization and you are doing everything, that is a threat to your company. You don't want to go out of business. You don't want to give up on your vision, right? There's a vision inside of you. You don't want to give up on everything because you are depleted, because you don't have the right team. So do a SWOT analysis, SWOT. Okay. Also, number 3, if you have no money, because a lot of us, when we start out and when we're just in the first 5 years of running our business, we may not have the money to go and hire this staff member. We need this full-time person on salary. They need benefits. We may not have that. And that is completely okay. If you do not have the money in the beginning, get volunteers, get interns, get TSC workers, youth at work workers. There are county subsidized programs to place people so that the leader can train them in job skills. There's so many people that need job skills and they're just like, help, help. And we want to go and hire full-time staff. No, there's other people that need to be trained. You're able to pour into them what you know, and then they get paid by the county, so you don't have to pay them. And then guess what? All of the work gets to get done. Also, volunteers, use Volunteer Match. If you are new on Volunteer Match, when you post, they automatically put your post at the top. So that means a whole bunch of volunteers are going to come your way. Last year, I had about 20 youth and young adult volunteers that interviewed with me, and not all of them stayed, but 20 that interviewed straight from Volunteer Match. Because I'm like, okay, I'm getting tired, I'm getting burnt out. Where is my team at? So I was like, let me just try out Volunteer Match. Sure enough, they put our listing at the top, and we got interviews all the time. I was getting emails left and right, like, I want to help with this. I can help with social media. I can help plan your events, all this stuff. from volunteermatch.com. And they were good volunteers. They stayed with me like February, and I still have some of the volunteers now. So use volunteermatch.com. Also, interns, so amazing. College students need internship hours, or even high school students. That's another opportunity for you to pour into the next generation and for you to build up your team without having to pay them. Okay. Number 4, and Pastor Jesse kind of added on to this as well, lead from the front, not from the top. Y'all know what that means? Lead from the front. Lead with your character. Lead with integrity. Lead by example. You are doing life with your team. Your team is only good if you are nurturing your team, pouring into your team, you're patient with your team, you're doing life with your team. Never give a job to a volunteer or an intern or a worker that you have not done, right? You want to do it with them. If you just point right from the top, you do this, you do that, run these social media ads, help plan this event, go do this, that's leading from the top. They don't know how to do that. And if you don't know how to do it because you have not done that position, they're not going to know how to do it either. So lead from the front, lead by example. Everything that my volunteers did last year, I was in there doing it with them, right? So we had mental health peer groups for youth and young adults. So it was called Real Talk. Every single Real Talk, I was on there with them. Do you know what topic you're speaking on? Do you have questions? Okay, let me know if you have questions. And then I would tell them, put in the chat or call me or text me, right? Sometimes I would turn my camera off and be like, okay, you got this. So I would let them lead, but I was still there to help them if they needed help. Oftentimes we try to get a whole team and then we delegate way too fast. And guess what? That leads to failure too. That's another way to lead to failure. Do not just unload on your team and then be like, you got it. They don't have it. They don't have it. Okay. So lead from the front, lead by example. Number 5, create community within your team. So what does that mean? Employee morale, right? Have employee of the month, staff or volunteer of the month, have banquets, send out gift cards. Whenever I send a volunteer to a meeting, like a Zoom meeting, I will follow up with a gift card. Why? Because I value their time. I appreciate them, right? When we are appreciated, we're more likely to do a better job. We're more likely to retain that employee or that volunteer, and people are more likely to spread the word. Like, oh, did you hear about this company? You should work for them, right? So for my nonprofit, I had a banquet last year highlighting all of our funders, all of our partners, all of our volunteers, and all of our participants. Everybody got a gift card or a trophy or flowers or a Senate award. Everybody got something because that's what creates community. Your job and your team is like your second family. So you want to make sure that you are nurturing that because that's where you spend most of your time. Okay, so here's some bonus tips. When you are a CEO, founder, leader, minister, get around a group that will encourage you, inspire you, pour into you, support you, because there's a lot of times when you're like, what is going on? I don't have this figured out. I don't know what I'm doing. And they will be able to tell you, yes, you do. Keep going. Yes, you do. They will be able to give you tips on how to encourage your team, how to maybe remove people if you need certain people removed so that you're able to be as successful as possible. And they will be able to tell you there's nothing that you cannot do. Nothing. Every idea in your mind, you can do it. If God put it in you, that's because you can do it. Right? So they will pull that out of you when you are stressed out and when you are starting to get depleted. Or even when there's drama on your team, because that happens. When stuff happens on your team, they will be able to be like, you got it. You could do it. Go ahead and talk to them. Right? So definitely have a support system around you. You need a successful team backing you. That could be a team of founders, CEOs, people that are like mentors, right? People that you admire, people that you respect, people to hold you accountable. So that was a little bonus tip for y'all. And then another bonus will be hire a consultant or a coach. Okay. So when we are the founder and we have 1,000 different ideas, sometimes we get stuck and we're like, well, what's happening? What's happening, right? This is not working. My team is not growing. So just like Pastor Jesse said, your consultant, your coach, your mentors can see from the outside and see what's going on, and they can help you. So a part of having a successful team is developing your own your support people, people that are behind you, people that are lifting you up, people that are supporting you. And then that goes down to the people that you are directly leading and that you are directly delegating stuff to. Okay? So it's a chain. You have strong leaders, you're a strong leader for your team, right? And then if you even want to get a little bit more technical, your team can have leaders amongst each other and they can hold each other accountable and help. So then you're developing a whole team of leaders, and then they will leave you, and then they will go work for other people and be the supervisor and be the manager and train other people. So train leaders. You're not just training like people that are just gonna be like the whip. Just do what I say. Do what I say. No, you're a leader so that you can help to bring that leadership out of somebody else. Okay. So be inspired. There's nothing that you can't do. If you need help, hire a coach. I'm also a consultant. You can text me questions, email me questions, because I'm here for you. There's nothing that you cannot do. Much success in your business. Thank you.
All right. All right. What an amazing session from you, Miss Shamika. Um, I love how you work with the youth. I love how you have this attitude that I can accomplish things, that I can do it, and we've seen you put it together. We've seen you pull it off, but we've also seen you affect the lives of people. And so,
Yes.
hey, I appreciate you so very much. Hey, we're gonna bring the panel on and let the panel give us some feedback. Pastor Jesse is back with us. My brother Bishop Tommy Brewer is back with us. So, hey, y'all give us some feedback on Miss Shamika Bogart and her session today.
Man, I have that's powerful. What you teach that is so, I mean, the tips that you laid out to develop a leadership team, a successful leadership team, that's awesome. I apply some of those in my life. I've learned a couple tonight that you shared with me. I didn't get a chance to, I remember your youth event. I bought two tickets. Actually, I bought two VIP tickets because I really wanted
Yes.
to win, but I could not get there because I had another commitment. And I didn't know who was starting it. I just knew that it was a young person and I wanted to support them because that was just powerful. I'm so happy to meet you. Oh my God, to God be the glory. May God continue to anoint you and utilize your gifts to do to do what you're doing. A couple of things that you just said, and then I'm gonna just turn it over to our dear brother Bishop. I love when you say get around people that will support you. I think that's so important. And what it does also is it says that there are people who might know a little bit better than what you're doing that can show you
Right.
how to do it even better. And there's a leader who I can't remember, but he said, if you're the smartest one in your group, then you need a new group. I
Yep.
think it falls right into that. So keep doing what you're doing. I love what you're doing. I love your teaching this morning. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, Pastor Jesse. I just want to say, I remember when you bought the banquet tickets, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to meet him. And then you had another engagement. I was like, okay, we'll meet another day. So today is the day. I'm happy to meet you too.
Bishop Brewer.
Man, I just have one question. Where were you when I first started out? 'Cause I did it all. Know what the burden is like of ton. But then I also found out I went fast, but not far. So that was great to hear from that point of perspective. There's a lot of these that I do. I'm like uh, Jesse, um, in that I there are some that I employ already because I've always wanted to be a great leader. But hearing some of the things that you added to this, I mean, you really added to the list that I can go back and become even more effective because I'm just grateful for your drive, your passion. I thought, and I'll get to this in my session, but I thought I would add drive and passion, have that drive and passion that exudes when you speak, and that's your demeanor. So keep doing what you do. Matter of fact,
Thank
I'm going to be more connected with you on it.
All right. Well, hey, we're gonna send Shamika back to the green room. She need to go ahead and get her some coffee or some tea, and stuff like that, and send Pastor Jesse back. Pastor Jesse, you have to, with Pastor Jesse, he's grading us. You understand? He's grading us. No, but no, it's just that just shows how much respect that I have for you, Pastor Jesse, and thank you again for being with us today, Miss Shamika. Hats off to you. Pastor's heart. You know, I'm about to start crying over here.
I love you.
You too. All right. Hey, we have my brother Bishop Tommy S. who's on with us today. He's going to be talking about developing that servant's heart. Because we said earlier, you can have all the vision in the world, you can be ready to do this, but until you learn to serve, you will never be that great leader that you would endeavor to be. So without further ado, hey, we're going to turn this over to my brother Bishop Tommy Brewer, and he's going to take us on from there.
Amen. Well, what more can I say? I mean, listen to Jesse, and I'm sorry to call you Jesse, but V, I mean, I'm not sure. So just bear with me here. And Shamika, just looking at listening to what they're saying, how it coincides with one another. I am just grateful and thank you for the opportunity, Pastor Perriman, overseer. Of course, your wife, always my sister. I just love you all, and thanks again for being, for this group and this panel that you put together. Because in this panel, we can, it is iron sharpening iron. And so what most people don't realize is that as iron sharpen iron, the iron that is doing the sharpening often lose some of itself. And so there's the investment that is made. And so I thank you guys for the investment that you've made and being who you are, and then now pouring back into us. So, and I pray God would increase you even more, that you can sharpen more people. So thank God for you. So my assignment today is to deal with the heart of a servant, the heart of a servant. And so, like Jesse has already profoundly gone before us, and we see the things that have been said to us in our last session. I just want to talk to us for a second about a heart of a servant. So I often teach that there are 4 attributes of the kingdom that stands out, or of a kingdom citizen once you become born again. When Jesus called the people, they were disciples, and then they were servants because they served him. And then he upgraded them to friends, and then from friends to sons. And so each one of those 4 attributes, disciples, servants, friend, son, all can coincide at the same time. But a son must learn how to serve a father. A friend must also learn how to serve his friend. A disciple must also learn how to serve his master. So servanthood or servitude is the profound aspect of it all. And so the Bible says to us that we must serve the Lord with gladness. That's in Psalms 100 and verse 2. And so if we serve the Lord with gladness, there is a desire that's built within that. And so oftentimes we look at servants as the lowliness of them all, someone without a high IQ, someone without any skills. But that's not true. Someone that's considered lowly in the kingdom or in society, these are mostly servants. We look at maids, we look at waiters, and we look at the trash people. So I put my trash out yesterday, but I have the same trash man unless he's on vacation. But he always has a smile. He always, if there's something extra I want to do and throw in there, he's always there to serve me. And for that, I reward him. So at Christmas and a few other places, times, or if I knew when his birthday or something like that, I want to make sure I honor servant. And so that is with God. God says, Jesus says to us in St. John 12 and verse 26, he said, whosoever serves me follows me. Okay, and where I am, my servant will be also. My Father will honor the one who serves me. And so servanthood, and Jesus also said that the greatest of us, let us be servants. And so a servant, a doulos is the word that I'm looking at. It's not just a slave, but more of a bond servant. Because once a servant becomes free, he goes back to the person that he serves, or master, and he bonds himself to them. And there are greater attributes that being free, but they are dedicated to the service of that person. And here we are with Christ. We are at liberty. Whom the Son makes free is free indeed. He has freed us. So we are free in him. He even give us the capacity to make our own minds and do our own thing. But once I become a bond servant, I give up all my rights. And that is the heart of a servant. Can he give up his rights? And most people don't know how to give up their rights because we're so busy protecting ourselves, so busy trying to, how can I say it, provide for ourselves. And we're trying to do all those things outside of Christ. And we call on the name of Christ, or we call on the name of the Lord, and yet we're still doing those. So it's easy to serve ourselves. So, but a servant is not just a lowly person. We look at David, who was a king. He prayed prayers like, Lord, keep back that servant also from presumptuous sin. In other words, he was saying, I want to be right in your sight. I'm your servant. And then you look at even young Samuel. So it doesn't matter your age. Even Samuel, as the Lord was beginning to speak to him, he says he goes back after a few times and he says, speak, Lord, for thy servant here. So servanthood is not just about the lowliness. It is where my heart is with the Lord. And then we also know that Jesus was the great servant leader. And so when my heart, when I deal with a heart of a servant, it is really my mindset. That's what I want to deal with. My mindset and my attitude, to have the right attitude, not out for my self-gratification. And so I love my brother even more. He's one of my first heroes, earthly heroes. Everything I learned about sports, I learned from him. So I learned how to be a part of team. I learned team sports from him. And he pushed me, he motivated me, he encouraged me. I saw his fearlessness. I saw how he pushed me to be better. He saw things in me that I didn't see in myself. And so as a servant or on a team, you learn how to fit in. You learn how to find your way within, because I wasn't as tall as him. So there's certain things I couldn't do on the basketball court, but I could use my speed and agility. So every servant must know what they carry, must know who they are. That has to do with, so there's three things I really want to bring out, and that is capacity. One is capacity. You must know who you are. And oftentimes servants don't know who they are off the top. They just begin to do what they do. And they'll not realize. When I first got born again, within 4 months, I asked the question, who's teaching this? We see the adult Sunday school class, but who's teaching this class? Why we don't have a choir? Where's it? So immediately they say, well, you lead the choir. Immediately they say, you teach the youth. Had no idea what I was doing, but I wanted to serve. And so I didn't know all the attributes of it, but I had the capacity already there. And you have the capacity within you. So listen to this. Your capacity plus a desire equals productivity. Capacity plus desire equals productivity. You want to be productive? Your capacity is already there. You just have to have the desire to serve and not look at it from a lowly standpoint, but this is me contributing. I often say that all members of a family must contribute. Now, when a baby is first born, a baby doesn't bring nothing but joy. You have to take care of it. But as that child grows and the toys or everything, at least the child can at least pick up the toys and put them in the toy box and take out the trash when he gets a little older. So everyone must contribute. So all servants must contribute. But it's the heart of the person that calls. You can serve as a slave and not want to be there. Or you can have your heart fixed with God that I'm going to serve the Lord with gladness. I don't know everything. I don't know how to do everything, but wherever I'm needed, I'll go. And as I go, I'll develop certain skills where I'll be called upon to be a problem solver. And that's what servants want to be. You want to be problem solvers. Every one of us are servants in some aspect, whether you're a pastor or a lay member, even in your family, on your job, you are a servant of the Lord. And so when I serve the Lord, I give up my rights. But guess what? Every right that I give up myself, God already has prepared for me greater for what I give up. So my capacity plus desire equals productivity. And so I serve the Lord with gladness. I say to myself, I want to be a part of this. I want to do this. I want to have what God wants me to have. And so not only do I have capacity, I must have self-awareness. That me as a servant, or we as servants, we must want to grow and expand. We want to grow and expand. We're not just asking the question, who am I, or what is my purpose? Why did you plant me here? Why am I planted here? So within my self-awareness, I must be balanced. And that's what God gives to us. He gives us balance through Christ. He gives us balance within ourselves. Without balance, you're not stable. And whenever you're not stable, you don't know, you're battling with yourself. And when someone crosses you, I'm not doing that. And so Christ never put us in a position to have it easy. If someone compel you go 2 miles, go 1 mile, go 2. If someone smites you on the cheek, often in the other. Well, if someone spited me on my cheek, that's a fight. And if I give up my servanthood to fight back, now I become my protector. But if I allow God to step away as a servant, saying, Lord, I take myself out of the fight, so to speak, and and then I go back and reevaluate and give it some time or whatever I need to do for reconciliation. Then I go back and say to them, I'm not gonna, as a servant, I have not forgotten what you did or how you did it, but let's start again. So as servants, we must learn how to give up ourselves and start again sometimes when we're offended. And so we must have self-awareness and balance. Without that balance, we're going to do what we want to do. We're going to go in and out of our own attitude and mindset versus what kingdom or God's mindset that he has for us. So we're not personality driven when you have self-awareness. I'm not driven by personality. I'm driven by presence. I want to be in the presence of the Lord. I want to honor the Lord. I want to serve the Lord. And so those things begin to grow in us and begin to develop even more in us as we are not personality driven, but present driven. And so, and also with my self-awareness, there must be some form of accountability. My accountability must be intact. That means when I'm balanced and I have self-awareness, I can be encouraged by God and reproved by God. I can be built by God and even allow him tear down some places in my life. And so sometimes we have erected certain things in our lives as servants that the master have to come and tear down that we might be an effective service. And so, so having that self-awareness that whatever God says is good, even if he's correcting me, it's good because it's for the betterment of my life, the betterment of the kingdom, the betterment of the productivity that he has for me. So I want to develop that heart. And so you're saying, how do I develop the heart of a servant? One of my favorite scriptures, the Apostle Paul said, let us go on to perfection. Let us go on to perfection. And that's through maturity. Maturity, perfection. Perfection is just maturity. It's just growing up in the aspect of where you are. And as a servant, I want to grow. I want to be better. I want to do it the way God has called. Even though I have my own ambition, even though I have my own drive and things, I surrender my drives. One of the things I learned from a pastor is, if you want God's will, then your will must become God's will. And so that's maturity. I want the will of God. So my will must become God's will in order to submit and be a subordinate to. Most people don't like that subordinate aspect of it. Subordinate, I heard someone say that don't treat it as a side hustle. Me serving the Lord is not a side hustle. It's who I am. It's what I do. And some will say, I'm not described. I'm not what I do in the kingdom. Well, I'm a servant at heart. I live by that personal motto, endeavoring to serve. I endeavor to serve the Lord and humanity. So there's a vertical relationship that comes with my maturity, that me and God, and then there's this lateral relationship with those that I'm in contact with, exercising my gifts, putting my gifts on display that God can use it, putting my mind and my heart on display that God can use it, because people don't see God physically, they see God through you. And so as you're serving the Lord, you want people to see God through you. You don't have to buy love. You don't have to serve to be accepted. As a servant heart, it just is who it is. And so, and I'll get to that real quick. So, so if I develop, let's look at the word develop. If I break it down to its lowest term, it comes from a word where we get the word to wrap up. In other words, it gives the word picture of an envelope. An envelope. I don't know if you can see that well. It's white, so I should have a black one. But anyway, it gives a word picture of an envelope. So it whatever is inside this envelope, it can be mailed, it can be delivered, whatever's inside of it, the capacity that's inside is, it's not it's already enveloped, it's closed, it's wrapped. And wherever it's sent, it should be protected. And so everything that is within you, the capacity that's within you, God is developing that thing that's on the inside of you, and he can send you to any place, wherever he mail you to, wherever he puts you, wherever he plants you. You should be able, with the contents on the inside, be able to still produce. So it doesn't matter where I am. I'm just a servant. I can go in any setting and find somewhere to serve if I want to serve. One of the greatest things my brother used to tell me all the time is when I first became a pastor, slow down. You have to learn to embrace this thing. But even in embracing as being a pastor, I still had the servant's heart. I still wanted to serve. I just needed to learn how to serve in a different capacity. There will be times where you can serve at any time because I'm enveloped, I'm wrapped, I'm in this. I can go anywhere and serve. But you must mature and develop as God wrap you up even more, add into you. It's the culture. It's knowing the nomenclature or the words that comes with whatever capacity you're in. And some of you are serving in the marketplace. Some of you are serving in ministry. Some of you are serving in your home. But a servant's heart is one that God can pick up and pull out and put in any situation, and they know how to operate because he's developing them to be even greater. And so he's wrapped us up. He's given us everything we need, and he nurtures that thing. So whenever I'm wrapped up and enveloping something, that means I get inside of it. I'm involved. So when I'm involved, there are certain things I have to pull off, and there's certain things I have to put on. If I'm in the medical field, I cannot be effective in the medical field with 1 foot in, 1 foot out, unbalanced. I cannot be effective in the medical field or construction field, dabbling with other things. In other words, I can have other interests, but when I'm in this situation, or when I'm in this culture, I'm around here gleaning. I'm learning. I want to ask God, how do I fit in this? Because it's the heart that God wants. And so whatever I'm in, I must learn how to put on that situation, put on that type of mentality, that type of teaching. And so wherever God planned us, he's nurturing us. And he's showing us how to be productive in that culture. And so I can go anywhere and so a lot of people, and I'm probably gonna leave some time on the table here because I do want to get to some of the questions. A lot of people as servants, they're so easily settled. They're so easily settled. God never calls us to be settled. He calls us to go from height to height, faith to faith, glory to glory. And so our gifts, our attitudes, our mindset can be brought forth. And God's saying to us, I don't want you to just be mediocre or settle for mediocrity. When you look at the word mediocrity, it gives the word picture of climbing a mountain, but stopping about halfway, a quarter or halfway. It means to be in the middle of the rock, mediocre. As a servant, I don't want to be mediocre. I don't want to be in the middle of a rock. But guess what? Here's what happens. Once I get elevated, maybe a quarter of the way, even halfway of the way, I can see things I never saw before. I can breathe air that I never breathed before. I can see from a point of view, but that's not the end point. And we settle for just seeing things differently. We settle for just being in the middle of the rock. And God is saying, as servants, no, I want to take you to a different level because there are different places to serve. You can take what you learn. Moses never thought what he learned under his father Jethro with just sheep, that it would eventually be people that he will lead. And so not only did he lead people, God always often, whenever the people messed up, he tells Moses, these are your people. Why? Because he wanted Moses not to just settle for being in a relationship with him, but he put him among the people. He let Moses know that these people you are responsible for. You are serving these people. And so I don't want to just, and you don't want to be as a servant of the Lord, just be in the middle of the rock, because anybody can come there with just some effort. You can climb with just some effort, but it takes dedication to go to the top. And so as God is developing my heart, I must be dedicated. And so I don't want to just settle. When God challenges me, when God challenges you as a servant, you don't want to settle. You want to go beyond mediocrity, beyond the middle of the rock. And so three things. If God challenge you, let him challenge yourself. That's your obedience. Can you obey? Can you obey as a servant of the Lord? The Bible says that the servant of the Lord must not strive. In other words, take the fight out of you. See, you already have a protector. You already have someone who's going to be there. So as your heart has been developed, I can serve God freely. I can be bound with him, taking his yoke upon me. When you take a yoke upon you, my grandfather had a farmer. And so what they would do is, if they had two ox, they would take the younger ox and marry him with the older ox. The older ox would carry most of the weight, and the younger ox is beginning to learn. And so when Christ is telling us as servants, take his yoke upon it and learn of him, he said, I'll carry the weight, you just participate. So if I'm going to be obedient, I must be able to participate, and participate in a way that when he tells me, no, you're doing it wrong, do it the right way. Because I'm actively participating in this thing as a servant. And the only way to grow is I give up myself to become obedient to the yoke in which I'm yoked upon. But then also, when God challenged me, not just challenge myself, my sense of self, my obedience, but also my comfort. It's amazing how many of us love our comfort. I'm not gonna, when I shut my door and I come in, whatever's happening outside is happening outside. It's not bothering me. But there are times when a phone call comes in. There are times when things happen where I can either give up my comfort or keep my comfort. As a servant, you don't get to keep your comfort, but that's a good thing, because your comfort takes you your uncomfortability will take you places that your comfort can't take you. Comfort settles. Uncomfortability strives, because you have to put forth effort. I don't need to put forth effort to be comfortable. I have to put forth effort to act when I'm uncomfortable. So allowing God to not only challenge myself, my sense of self, which is my obedience, but challenge my sense of comfort, which is an easy life, just wanting it easy all the time. But also he must challenge my productivity. And I'm going to stop right here. This is about mindset and attitude. My mindset is to serve the Lord with no plan B. My attitude is not allowing anything to taint my perspective or my view of God. And so let me give you this when I talk about productivity. The example of the fig tree. When Jesus was hungry, he saw the fig tree afar off, and he was hungry. Now the fig tree had leaves. Listen, the fig tree had leaves, but it wasn't its time to produce fruit. So the fig tree is always symbolic of Israel or Christians. We can be full of leaves, pretty, with no productivity. But the problem was that Christ was looking at the fig tree afar off, hungry, knowing that it wasn't his season, but he looked the part. I don't want to just call myself a servant and look the part. But as Jesus began to desire something of me and began to communicate with him, now guess what? Yes, Jesus communicated with the tree, and the tree made a decision. He said, it's not my time to produce. Well, if Christ ever enters your space as a servant, he's saying to you, it is time to produce, whether it's your season or not. That's why Paul told Timothy, be instant in season, out of season. So as a servant, I must be instant, ready to serve in season, out of season. And the fig tree was communicating with Jesus. Thus, Jesus began to speak to it. I'll curse you forever. Nobody will ever eat from you again. I don't want that said to me as a servant, that God can't use me. God wants to use you. And don't look at servanthood as a lowly position. Jesus said that the greatest of you, let him serve. Don't you want to be said, like he says to us in Matthew 25 and verse 21, well done, thy good and faithful servant? Yes, I want him to say, well done, thy good and faithful servant, which means that wherever he plants me, wherever he puts me, I'm enveloped. Everything is enveloped inside me. Wherever he sends me, if the capacity is already there. Whatever he asks of me, in my uncomfortability, It's already enveloped. It's already there. It's been carried. And wherever God mail you or place you, everything's on the inside. The content's on the inside. Sometimes that content is a check. Sometimes that content is a letter of disappointment. Sometimes that letter or that content is a letter of encouragement, or it could be a letter that's a bill that's due. It doesn't matter. If God, whatever He calls me as one to go and help someone, uh, help build someone, strengthen someone, even to correct someone, wherever He sends me, whenever He mailed me, I have the capacity on the inside of me, and it's developing all the time. And so wherever God sends you, you have the right, you have the privilege, you have the way of being productive as a servant. So don't settle for being middle of the rock. Don't settle for being, keep going. Let God develop your heart. So what is my heart? My heart is my will, my emotion, my mindset, my attitude. My attitude toward God is intact. Your attitude with God must be intact. Your mindset toward God must say nothing's going to stop me from being who I am. Jesus went to the cross. The Bible said he did despise the shame that came with it. He despised it. In other words, he didn't even look at it. He's like, I'm not even going to pay this any attention because I have a job to do. I must serve. I must give my life. Nobody takes your life because he was enveloped already. Everything he had was on the inside of him. Nobody could take that away from him. Nobody could take that content away from him. So he willingly laid his life down for us as the ultimate servant, act of service. And look at that. Look at things that were happening around him. The sun didn't even shine. None of those things didn't even shine. In other words, our creator of the whole world, the thing we serve, the one he created, we won't even shine because he's given his life. So you have to learn how to be uncomfortable. It was not comfortable for the sun to be gone or dark, or to be dark at 12, from 12 noon to 3 o'clock. But it refused to serve because this ultimate servant was being given his life. So we must be like this. We must know what's asked of us. We must know what is given to us. We must know the privileges that have with us and allow God to develop that heart. Yes, you're going to be challenged, but the heart grows greater. Yes, you're going to come out of your comfort zone. Yes, you cannot settle, but keep serving. And you will get to hear him say, well done, thy good and faithful servant. Amen. I hope you get something out of those things.
All right. Well, let's give a big shout out to Bishop Tommy Brewer. Today he did a great job. Man, you did so good, man. I think Pastor Jesse came out of his jacket. But nevertheless, hey, panel, come on in and give us some feedback. I was really blessed by Bishop Tommy. I really was. Gave me some revelation, especially on that fig tree that I hadn't seen before. And so y'all come on and give us some quick feedback so we can get into the next session.
Bishop Tommy got some snaps too. Amazing. I had to write down capacity plus desire equals productivity because I have a servant's heart and I want to help everybody 24/7. And then I help it be burnt out. And then I'm upset and I'm like, God, but you just told me to serve. He's like, I didn't tell you to do that then and there. Right. So I really appreciate that. Amazing. Loved it.
Thank you.
All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you.
Bishop, you done got into my sermon on Sunday morning. It's all enveloped
Uh-oh.
within.
Uh-oh.
Oh my goodness, that was powerful. I love the envelope demonstration. I don't know. I'm gonna be teaching from you, brother, and learning from you and sharing some stuff because you got some wisdom. I was just so inspired. Big tree. Don't want to just look pretty, but got to be some productivity. I love
Yes.
that.
It's
Oh
productivity.
my God, you shared some wisdom here today. I have like 3 pages of notes that
Ooh.
I really want to just, the self-awareness part I think is so important as well, and the accountability aspect of it. And when you talked about perfection, it's all about maturity, all about growing, all about developing, and that's the servant's heart, right? So when you're doing a servant's heart, you're not looking to be, people give me awards, commend me. When you have a servant's heart, you're doing it because God is going to bless you with it. That's the maturity
Yes.
aspect of it. And even if nobody ever says thank you, it's okay. God is already going to reward you. So I love that teaching, brother. Thank you so much. To God be the glory.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. Now,
Well,
I
all
just
right.
noticed I got about 3 messages out of what you've done too. So
Well, listen, I've been really enjoying myself. We're at the part right now where we're getting ready to really close out with the last session, and then we're gonna take question and answers from people. And we really want you to make sure you have your questions. Please have your questions ready. We're gonna take questions. So I'm gonna close us out with this session, and we're gonna be talking about developing an atmosphere of excellence. And I'm gonna lead the panel on right now, and so. Yeah, so we're gonna lead a panel on right now. So we're gonna talk about developing an atmosphere of excellence. One of the things that I had to learn growing up as a minister is that there is a leader on the inside of you, but that leader has to be developed. I also learned that you have to be able to delegate and pick a team that can help you do what God has called you to do. Because every leader that God calls has a vision. Now, I define vision like this as having the ability to see further than your eyes can look by seeing through the eyesight of God. So that means when God gives you vision, the vision is bigger than you. It's bigger than what you can comprehend, or it's bigger than what you can understand. But you and I must look through the eyesight of God in order to accomplish the vision. But I also understand that you can't do this by yourself. You got to pick the right people to serve with you, and you got to be able to teach them the vision. The Bible says that you and I are supposed to teach faithful men who should be able to teach others also. So whatever vision God gave us, we got to be able to teach to other people, and they have to be able to teach to other people, and they have to be able to teach to other people in order for success to take place. But the real thing that I learned was you got to develop a servant's heart. The person who's unwilling to serve in another person's vision will never achieve their own vision. The Bible tells us that Joseph had to interpret 3 dreams before he was able to walk into his own destiny. He had to interpret the dream of the butler, the dream of the baker, but then he had to interpret the dream of Pharaoh before he called him to. But encapsulating all of that is developing an atmosphere of excellence. Now, everything rises and falls with leadership. Everything rises and falls with leadership. Ministry can't come to pass without effective leadership. Businesses can't be successful without effective leaderships. Families are not successful without effective leaderships. And we see in the Bible where the Bible is telling us how Joshua has been told by Moses to go to battle against Amalek. And as Moses is holding up his arms, they're able to prevail. But as soon as Moses' arms dropped, they lose the battle. So the Bible tells us that Aaron and Hur comes along and they build something for Moses to sit down on, but each one of them gets under Moses' arm and they hold his arms up because everything rises and falls with leadership. Now, leadership is a position of influence and a position of excellence. You are the example of God. Your family, your business, your church, or whatever God has tasked you to lead. You are the example. Everybody is going to look to you for information. Everybody's going to look to you for guidance. Everybody's going to look to you to know everything. Even though we don't know everything, we know the one who knows everything, but everybody is going to look to you for leadership, so you are influential. Leaders should always lead from the front and never from the back. I heard Shamika talk about leading from the top down. My philosophy is leaders should never lead from the leaders should always lead from the front and never from the back. You should never ask people to do what you yourself are unwilling to do. If you look in the Bible tells us in John 3:16, it says, "For God so loved the world that he gave." So watch now, God is the epitome of a giver. He can never ask me to give if he himself is not a giver. So he's leading from the front and never from the back. So leaders should always lead from the front and never from the back. You are the example. You are the pace setter. You are the leader. But now, developing an atmosphere of excellence means we are talking about creating a culture where excellence thrives. All right. One day, my wife and I, we went over in LA off the Crenshaw Imperial to the Burlington Coat Factory. Went in there, we couldn't find anything because stuff is stored all over the place. Shoes are everywhere. They're not the right size here. The dresses were not in the right size. Shoes are not. Just nothing's in the right place. And we couldn't find anything. And it made the shopping experience bad for us. But as soon as we left there and we went over to Compton, over by the Compton Courthouse to the new Burlington Coat Factory that they had over there, everything was put in its proper place. Everything was in order. The size 12 shoes was the size 12 shoes. The large was with the large, the medium was with the medium, the small was with the small. And it made our shopping experience easy, and it made it simple for us. It made it enjoyable. So watch now, developing an atmosphere of excellence means we are talking about creating a culture where excellence thrives. Nobody comes to be a part of mediocrity. Nobody does. Nobody wants to be a part of mediocrity. If you go to a restaurant and you don't see that A on the window and you see B or C, you don't want to eat there. If there's a new movie comes out and you look it up on Google and Rotten Tomatoes says this is just a 2.6, you don't want to go see it because the movie is not excellent. It is mediocre. So nobody wants mediocrity in their life. Nobody does. So leadership means that we create an environment where excellence thrives. Now, in order to have a thriving culture, we must have what I call the 3E effect. The 3E culture, the 3E culture. Number one, the culture is excellence. Number two is effectiveness. And then number three is efficiency. So you got to have the 3E culture now. Now let's deal with the 3E culture. What is excellence? Excellence is a mindset that engulfs the heart of a leader, that motivates them to always do their best by giving attention to details that will cause them to give birth to their full potential. See, a leader of excellence pays attention to details. Their heart is engulfed in this thing. They want it to go off right. They want it to be right because they see what's on the other side. The other side is people enjoying. It is people experiencing. It is people having what God promised them. One of the things that I talk to my daughter about when she sets up the cameras and things like that, she'll set them up sometimes based on how she sees it. And I say, you can't set this up based on how you see it. Remember, there is somebody else on the other side of the camera who sees what you don't see. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that their experience is excellent. We got to make sure that it's excellent. So you got to see beyond the camera. You have to see on the other side of the camera. So excellence makes you see beyond your present condition. Okay. Remember, the Bible says it like this, that God now takes Moses out and he tells Moses, he says, look from the place that you are, northward, the southward, the eastward, and westward. So what is Moses doing? He's looking from his present condition over into a place of excellence, because anything that God provides for you is always excellent. So he's looking from his present condition over into his future. He's looking over into his destiny. But now let's continue on now. Excellence is not a gift. This is what Dr. Miles Monroe says. Excellence is not a gift. But excellence is an attitude of character and integrity that is exceptional and distinguishes itself from others. So excellence distinguishes itself from others. Let me say that again. Excellence distinguishes itself from others. Is there a Bible for it? Yes. The Bible tells us in the book of Daniel, chapter number 6, that an excellent spirit was found in Daniel. And the Bible says that God, that the king chose him because of the excellent spirit. What has happened? Daniel distinguished himself from everybody else. Now, when you are walking in excellence, there is always a spirit of jealousy that comes with it. Okay. What do you mean the spirit of jealousy that comes with it? Because there will always be people who will envy what you're doing, even though they can't do what you're doing. I'm going to say that again. They will always envy what you're doing, even though they can't do what you're doing. So you can't do what God didn't grace you to do. You can't be what God didn't create you to be. You can't be what God didn't call you to be. So you have to thrive in the area that God gave us. All right. Sometimes I always use this example that everybody can't be an usher in church. Everybody shouldn't own a babysitting business. Everybody shouldn't own it because you're not gifted for that. You're not called to that. Then guess what you're going to do? You're going to destroy that because that's not what you are. I can't tell you how many pastors I run into who God has not called to the position, but they do it anyway. And they know they're not called to it, but they won't take a step back. And the reason they won't take a step back is because of pride. Pride won't let them take a step back because after all, I put my title out there. I told you I'm this. I told you I'm that. It's better. This is what I learned from my brother, Bishop Tommy. It's better to be in God's perfect will than to be in God's permissive will. Let me say that again. It is better to be in God's perfect will than to be in God's permissive will. There are some things that God permit us to do, but not that he ordained for us to do it. There's some things the Bible said that God never ordained for us to have divorce, but he permitted it. That's his permissive will, which means he gave you the okay, but it was not his will from the beginning. So we got to make sure now that we create a culture of excellence. Excellence is not a gift, but an attitude of character and integrity that is exceptional and distinguishes itself from others. So when you and I are people of excellence, we distinguish ourselves. Now, developing an atmosphere of excellence requires an investment from you. You got to invest in excellence. You got to invest in this. So which means now my investment now requires my time. My investment requires my talent. It requires my treasure. If you're unwilling to invest in excellence, then you've already employed mediocrity. Let me say that again. If you're unwilling to invest in excellence, then you've already employed mediocrity. It's on your payroll, and you're going to keep paying for it every single day. I learned this from my pastor, Dr. Fred Hodge. Dr. Fred Hodge said to me one day, he said, I want the people to have an experience with God. And he said, if I have to pay for that experience, I'll pay for that experience because I want people to have an experience with God. I adopted that mentality from the moment I heard him say that, because what I started to do was I was able to see what it is he was saying. I saw how excellence attracts people. I saw how excellence brings in resources. I saw how people want to be a part of this. I saw it. So my mindset was, okay, I got to create this atmosphere of excellence because people come to it. People want to be a part of that. See, what you're unwilling to invest in will not produce for you. So if I'm not willing to invest in my business cannot produce for me. See, when God calls you to own a business, that business is not just for you right now, but that business is for the generations who's attached to you. So that means the next generation that's a part of your family should eat from this business, should eat from that business. It should eat from the vision. But if I don't create an atmosphere of excellence, then that vision probably not going to move on past me. It's probably going to die because I have not created an atmosphere that says this is generational. This is where generational wealth comes from. This is why people whose family have generational wealth, their children learn to appreciate money because it's been taught to them by their parents. And if you look at it, they eat from it. Generations have been eating from this because there is no mediocrity. Because when people are excellent, they think differently. When you're excellent, you walk differently. When you're excellent, you carry yourself completely different than anybody else because an excellent spirit is in you. Now, let's continue on. Excellence now is a choice. It's a choice. You can choose to be excellent or you can choose not to be excellent. It's a choice. Nobody can make you be excellent, not even God himself. It's a choice. It's a decision that you make. It's a decision. Everything rises and falls with leadership. But if I am unwilling to be excellent, then I cannot draw those certain people to me. I can't bring those resources to me. I can't fulfill the destiny that God called me to fulfill because after all, God himself is excellent. Now, so watch now. Order and structure helps to produce excellence. Let me say that again. Order and structure helps to produce excellence. All right. I started paying attention to my man of God behind the scenes, and I'd watch how they have an order of service, right? And with this order of service, they say at 9 o'clock, we're going to do this. At 9:05, this takes place. At 9:15, this takes place. At 9:30, this takes place. And everything is in order. And I found out when everything is in order, there's a flow to the service. The anointing shows up because there is structure and there is order. Now, structure and order draws people, okay? The Bible tells us about the Queen of Sheba. She comes from Africa to Jerusalem because she heard of the wisdom of Solomon. The Bible says when she gets to Solomon and she sees the way his servants conducted themselves, the way they were orderly, the way they wore their clothes, the way they served him, and she saw how he went up after she's asked him all the hard questions, the Bible said there was no more breath in her because an excellent spirit, she saw it in action. And she says now, I heard about you now. But the half of what I was told, this ain't even half of this ain't even nothing compared to what I was told. And guess what she does? She comes now, and the Bible, one translation says she brings him 9,000 tons of gold, 9,000 pounds of gold. If you study that out today, that is almost $270 million she brought to him because she heard of his excellence. She heard of his wisdom. So excellence attracts. It attracts. So when the spirit of excellence is there, when an atmosphere of excellence is there, God is able to reside. Not only is he able to reside, but the resources that you need will show up because an excellent spirit is present. So watch now. So leaders now who serve under you must be taught your level of spirit of excellence. Leaders who serve under you have to be taught your level of the spirit of excellence. They must be taught, number one, how to adopt your vision. Number two, how to assess your vision. Number three, how to assimilate your vision. And then number four, taught not to assassinate your vision. Say that again. They got to be taught how to adopt your vision, because everybody who comes to you, whether they come from a different job, a different church, a different place, somewhere over here, somewhere over there, they come with their own mentality, their own thought process. So what we have to do is teach them how to adopt to the vision, or how to adapt to the vision that we have. We have to teach them to adopt our vision. In other words, I take it and I make it my own. But at the same time, we got to teach them how to assess the vision, because the vision comes with provision. So watch now, in every department, there should be no lack in no department, because the vision has provision. So you have to teach them how to assess the vision, how to assess it. And the way they assess it is through faith. They assess it through faith. But then now we have to teach them how to assimilate the vision. In other words, you ingest this thing, you think about it, you talk about it, you live it every single day, because this vision is not just for the CEO, but it also encapsulates the people who are connected to it. Okay, just think about Boeing. Even though the company was started by him himself, but look at the millions of people who have been blessed by it, who have eaten from it, who's been taken care of by it. Look at Edwards Air Force Base and see the amount of people who retired from there, who are not even in the military, but they worked there all of these years, and their families have been taken care of. Because when they came there, what they ended up doing was assimilating the vision. To assimilate the vision means that I understand what we do, I understand why we do, and I understand where we do it and when we do it, and I understand who we do it to. You have to understand it. So you have to teach this to people, because if people are not taught this, they will run amok doing the thing that they always do based on the knowledge that they have. So this is why orientation classes are important. This is why leadership training classes are important, because if you have a team, a staff, and you don't teach them, I keep the vision before them, they will do something completely different based on the knowledge that they have. So in a sense, you want to change their thinking. You want to change their thinking, because we're creating an atmosphere of excellence. Now, excellence now can be seen. It draws others from afar. It draws people to see something, to believe in something, to experience something, and to be a part of something. When people see excellence, they want to be a part of it. When people see excellence, they want to experience this thing. When they see excellence, they really want to make sure, they want to believe in this thing, because they see it. It does something for them. They see it. So we have to make sure that we create this atmosphere of excellence. One of the things that I hate as a pastor is lateness. Hate it. Hate lateness as a pastor, and I hate it when we don't give our best. Because at the end of the day, it is about the souls being saved. All right. With my children, I always say to them, if they come home with bad grades or whatever, I always ask the question, did you do your best? And if they said they did their best, I'm okay with that, because you put your best effort into it. Maybe you fell short on this, but you put your best effort into it. Now let's come and correct the problem and see where you missed it at, and see how can we get better. Because every leader should be willing to learn, and every leader should be willing to teach. Now, let me hurry with these. Now, we said the three is excellence. Now, effectiveness. Effectiveness is an impactful mark made in the life of others that will cause them to have an experience like no other. See, as a leader, your effectiveness should change the lives of everyone that works under you or that comes in contact with you, which in other words means I'm effective with what I do, okay? Which means now I need to examine what I do. Am I touching the heart and mind of people? Do I need to tweak this? Do I need to change this? Do I need to surround myself with somebody who knows what I don't know? Do I need to go get consultation? Do I need to ask questions? What do I need to do? Do I need to go back to school? Because I want to be effective. If you're doing something and you're not effective in it, you have to re-examine it and ask yourself the question, am I being effective in this? How do I shift this? How do I change this? How do I work with this? Because after all, I'm creating an environment of excellence. But then now, the efficiency culture means that you perform your duties at a high level with the least amount of mistakes and mishaps. In other words, you run this thing like a well-oiled machine. One of the things I used to say to the choir members of our church, if you mess up the songs, 9 times out of 10, people in the congregation don't know it unless you give their facial expression. They don't know. Just keep your facial expression and keep it going. We don't know you messed the song up because half of us don't know the song word for word anyway. You understand? We ain't been in rehearsal like you. Just keep it going. We don't know you dropped the ball unless you look at each other's face and get that facial expression. We have no idea. So we want to run this thing like a well-oiled machine, that if a mistake is made, nobody out there has to know about it. If a mistake is made, we are so efficient that if you drop the ball, we pick it up as a team. And we run it in together because we win together. It is not you win, but we all win. So there has to be some efficiency in this. Now, to achieve the maximum efficiency in your leadership, you must care about your assignment. You got to care about your assignment. You must care about your assignment. Number two, you must know your assignment. Can't tell you how many people I know, how many preachers I know try to put a sermon together on a Saturday night before Sunday morning. You don't really care about your assignment, because you should be gathering information on a regular basis. See, you don't study to preach, you study to live. Here's what God said to me one day. I was asking God for a sermon. I got 3 minutes. I was asking God for a sermon to give the people, and God told me one day, the people don't need a sermon. What the people need is a word from me so they can live. So stop seeking me for a sermon and ask me for a word from me so that people can live. So I start to realize now I'm not effective and I'm not efficient. So guess what I got to do? I got to care more about this assignment. I got to know this assignment, but I got to have passion about this assignment. And there are a lot of people today who don't have passion about their assignment. They go to work, we punch the clock for 8 hours, and they're angry and they're upset. I don't want to be here. There's no passion in this. But then number 4, you must give your all to your assignment. You got to give your all to your assignment. You can't half step, you can't cut corners, because excellence requires something of us. We can't cut corners. If you are willing to cut corners, then you are unwilling to invite the presence of God. So people are willing to cut corners because we look at things from this perspective. I don't have enough money to do this. I don't have enough money to do that. Listen to this. You ain't gonna never have enough money to do what God called you to do. Never. Because the vision is too big for you. So here's what you have to do. You have to tap into the grace of God on your life for the assignment that he gave you. So guess what will end up happening? The resources will show up because you tapped into his grace. I never forget Dr. Haas said this to me. I got 1 minute. He says to me, he says, son, the land will only yield to you if God has authorized you to be there. I take that mentality. Wait a minute. The land will only yield itself to me if I've been authorized to be there. So if I'm not authorized to be there, I am illegal and it will not yield to me. So watch now. If I'm serving in the capacity that God called me to serve in, guess what's going to happen? The land of the area that he called me to serve in must yield itself to me because it's been commanded by God to do so. So we said, number 1, you must care about your assignment. Number 2, you must know your assignment. Number 3, you must have passion about your assignment. Number 4, you must give your all to your assignment. But then number 5, you must teach others your assignment. You should, I like how Dr. Miles Monroe says it, you should teach yourself out of a job. You should teach yourself out of a job. You should teach your job to somebody so much that you ain't even needed in that position anymore. Once you do that, you're ready to be elevated. But the world's mentality is, can all you get and get all you can. Don't share it with nobody. Well, that's not how God operates. He wants us to pass the information on to other people. This is why we must be excellent. But then number 6, you must pray for the success of your assignment. You got to pray for the success of your assignment. Not enough people spend time praying and seeking the face of God, asking him to give them the wisdom, the grace, and everything that they need for their assignment to come to pass. That's my time right there. I'm done with 26 seconds left on the clock. Soundboard, give us your opinion, your thought process. Anybody can talk.
Well, you already know. Before you mentioned Solomon, I had already thought about Queen of Sheba, how the provisions came after she said so. But I love the aspect of the last portion you just brought out about where you're planted at is designed to yield for you. And so a lot of times we are uprooting ourselves, trying to go plant ourselves in our own vineyards or a place where we think is fertile. But just being where you are, even if it's a desert place, you'll still yield fruit. So I love that. I love the whole thing, but that part at the end just really stood out.
All right. Anybody else want to comment? Anybody else want to comment? Anybody? All right.
I can comment.
I do. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay. So I have so many notes. I wrote big, you are the example of God, which is so amazing because God sent Jesus. The people didn't want Jesus. He not sending nobody else besides using us as his vessels. And it's so important for us to know that we are his ambassadors. We are his representatives. And it's so important to show up for the people versus being like scared or nervous or shrinking. Like, no, God is going to use you in front of the people. So, yeah, all my notes. Can't wait to go over them. I think it was amazing. Snaps for you too.
Go ahead,
Man,
Pastor Jesse.
you have given abundance here today. I know when Jesus said, I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. You've given us some abundance here today, brother. I can't tell you the 3E effect. Oh my God. The 3E effect. Love that. Excellence, effectiveness, efficiency. Oh my God. I can use that in what I do and and how I lead. And so I'm benefited and I benefit from that and I'm blessed by it. Every the way in which you talked about how your leadership should your vision should not just be with you, but that vision has to be shared with others, and that people that you're leading to be able to
Mm-hmm.
connect or adapt to that vision, and that you know when your vision is out there, yeah, it's going to accompany people who may be envious of you. Got to learn how to handle that. Got to learn how to not get distracted by that. I think we need that kind of leadership and we need that kind of vision. So I got so much from you, brother. I thank you for it. I'm blessed by it. Awesome.
Thank you, Pastor Jesse. Listen, we're ready to take questions from people today. And so, listen, if you got your questions, I want you to put it on the screen. Today, we want to take questions, and you can ask questions to any panelist on here today. So, get your questions on the screen. You can text them to us. If you're watching us from YouTube, put your questions on the screen. If you're watching us from Pastor Jesse's page, if you're watching us from Bishop Tommy Brewer's page, put your questions on the screen. We will see them. So put them on the screen. We will ask them. We will talk about it. If you are the person who want to text your questions, take your questions to us. We will make sure that we get those in, and we'll talk about it. But one of the things that I want to really talk about, to the panelists about, especially to Pastor Jesse, what is it that inspired you to be an effective leader?
Believe it or not, it was Martin Luther King.
Wow.
I was a true follower of Martin Luther King. When I heard his voice, and I must have been at the age of probably about maybe 6 or 7. I was at a camp called Camp Kiowa, and I was working on some documents. And somebody played his speech. Well, it may have been the "I Have a Dream" speech. I'm not sure, but man, that just rocked my world. Just hearing his speech, and then I started studying him and listening to his speeches and hearing his speeches. When I tell you I studied him, meaning that when I woke up in the morning, I was listening to Martin Luther King. When I went to bed at night, I was listening to Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King was in my consciousness. He was in my sleep because I just loved his leadership. And how I understood him was, he once said that 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 Mahatma Gandhi that pardon me, that Jesus was his leader. Mahatma Gandhi showed him how to demonstrate that leadership.
Wow.
And I just thought that that was really powerful. And so when you find that you want to be a leader and you know that there's leadership within you, find somebody who models that leadership for you. And Dr. King modeled that leadership for me. So I studied him. I studied his mannerism. I studied the way in which he talked to people and how he negotiated and how he
Wow.
was able to withstand suffering under violence, and how he used his faith to do it, and also how he challenged the power structure, but he did it with love. That's what I learned to do. That's what I learned to know how, even though I find things that are an injustice to many of our people in the community. I don't approach it with hate. I approach it with love. And I remember Dr. King saying, "Isn't it marvelous to stand up against an unjust system and fight it with all of your might and never get to the point where you stoop to the level of violence and hatred?" I think that to me was so powerful, and that's the kind of leader I wanted to be. And I studied Jesus, and I studied him, and I studied a few people, and even when you study the leadership of Jesus, which I did, his leadership is just remarkable. How he handled his enemies, how he dealt with his disciples,
Yeah.
how he took 3 people with him all the time among his discipleship. He had 12 of them, but there were 3 he kept in his circle: James, Peter, and John. That's
Yeah.
leadership. There's some people you got to keep in that circle because they have a special quality that you know you need to what? To propel your vision. And
Yeah.
so that's what inspires me. Excellent leadership.
Yeah. Here's a question for you, Pastor Jesse. I'm gonna put it on the screen here. I hope you can see it. It says, "What's a good prayer to help better develop character?" And that's directed to you, Pastor Jesse.
Yeah, a good prayer to help develop character for me is always Lord, remove myself and allow you to come in me to work. All right. Every sermon I give every Sunday morning, when I'm teaching in Bible study on Wednesday night, and when I'm speaking before audiences that are non-religious, I always ask God, please remove me that you might be able to develop in me. I understood what Paul meant when he said that I die daily for the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Only meaning that the personal ego, the envy and all that other stuff, it dies so that the Christ in me might be manifested. So that when people look at me and they say, wow, V. Jesse Smith, that was an awesome service, or wow, you really inspired me. My response to them always, no matter what it is to God be the glory, because it means that God moved the ego out of me and allowed what He has in me to be reflected in whoever I touched that morning or that afternoon, and that was God's power. And so that's always my prayer. Remove me that I might be able to manifest your power and your will and establish heaven, not in the sky, but right here on earth. That's what we're called to do.
You know, my prayer, Pastor Jesse, before we get to the other part of the panel, my prayer is two things. I learned this from my pastor who's going home to be with the Lord, Apostle Wayne Wallace. He would pray, God, hide me behind the cross so that you might have the preeminence.
Mm.
And so I learned that prayer from him. In the same way you're saying, God, get me out of the way. Let it be
Mhm.
none of me, but let it be all of you.
That's right.
But I also pray, God, help me to go in and out before your people. Because I understand I'm frail. I understand that I make mistakes. I'm prone to mistakes. I'm prone to say something I probably shouldn't say. I'm prone to do something I probably shouldn't be doing. You understand? So I have to pray, God, hide me behind your cross so you have the preeminence in me. And God, help me to go in and out before your people. Help me to do that because it's necessary. We can't be what God has called us to be without his help.
Yes.
That's what I pray. What about you, Miss?
Yeah, so
I think
going
she's
off of
frozen.
am I? I'm here.
No, no, not now.
Okay. Going off of what the both of you also said, in Ephesians, it talks about praying for God's heart for his people, praying to see his hope, his love,
Mm-hmm.
and to see the hurt of the people, right? So when we are seeking God first, and when we want to know his heart for the people, automatically he will start to develop in us character, different traits to help the community and to help outwardly versus us just being focused on ourselves. So I would definitely say to go to Ephesians and start to actually pray what the Bible says. Don't just pray
Yeah.
like the things that you think. Go in there, get a scripture, and focus on that. Focus on it for a week or focus on it for a month, and then you will start to see those results in your life.
Amen. What about you, Bishop Tommy?
I think mine's are twofold. I often pray it, but in different ways. But one is, you heard me quote it earlier. Um, I just always want to be in the will of God. So I always ask God, let my will be your will. So, uh, I have an understanding that I can't do anything outside of Him. I don't want to do anything. And the other prayer is just a simple, humble prayer. God, don't let me miss you. Speaking and when you're leading, I don't let myself get in the way where I don't see and hear you properly. So those two things that I often pray all the time. Let my will be your will, and let me miss you because I know you're leading me into destiny, to greatness, and help other people, inspire other people. So don't let me miss you whenever you're speaking, leading.
That's good. That's good. That's good. You know, Pastor Jesse, I am a firm believer, Bishop Brewer, I'm a firm believer of serving. I'm a firm believer in that. I understand what serving gets you. I understand where serving takes you. I also understand who you serve. That grace and that anointing that's on their life is now made available to you because you serve. What would you give? What advice would each one of you give to someone who's in a position to serve? I know Bishop Tommy Brewer covered a lot, but there's some things he just couldn't cover because of time's sake. And I'm quite sure you guys had some things going through your head. what was some of the advice you give to people who are serving that are in their serving position? Shamika, we'll start with you.
What advice would I give somebody that's in a serving position?
Mm-hmm.
To definitely get a mentor, serve them as they're serving you, and that cycle keeps to continue.
Okay. Pastor Jesse.
Don't get caught up in your title. Title is dangerous. Whenever you got a title and you think you're all that and a bag of chips, the chips don't taste too good. Get caught up in servanthood and the mission for which God called you into that position, that you will inspire other people to want to acquire or aspire to that title. But don't allow title to be the motivating factor in terms of doing the work that God has called you to do.
That's good. What about you, Bishop Brewer? I know there's a lot you couldn't cover, but I know there's a lot you do want to cover.
It's just simple. Give up your rights. We have too many rights. We often defend our rights. But in the kingdom, we already have a protector.
Yeah.
He teaches us how to deal with that. He teaches us how to deal with encouragement and how to humble ourselves. So we got to learn to get the rights for our personal rights, because you're always going to be offended. When you're offended, you want to defend. When you're spoken ill of or ill to, you want to back. But when you give up your rights, it's not that you're being abused. It's just saying that I want to do it God's way. So, and I don't mean to drag it on, but I often talk about Reggie Jackson, October, swing at everything. That was his only attribute. He swung at everything. He tried to hit a home run every time. And so you can be known for certain things, but if you're swinging at everything, that means anybody can take you off. And so you have to learn how to pace yourself and wait for the right pitch.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know how to wait for the right pitch, and when to hit back or when to fight back. They fight at everything. I know personally. So.
That's true. You know, I want to before we move on to the next question that I see here, a lot of times, Pastor Jesse, people do get caught up in the title because the title has power attached to it. And so we see a lot of times where people become so power hungry because I got this title and they change into another person. I've always believed that that's an immature individual that got power too fast. Because titles are not from man, they are from God. They're not from man, they're from God. If you look in the Bible, Joshua now is ready to go to war, and he sees this man dressed in all white, and Joshua runs up on him. He ready to do something to him. And he asked the question, he said, are you for us or for our adversary? And the man says, I'm for neither one of y'all. I'm the commander of the Lord's army. So in a sense, he's running up on Jesus to fight Jesus. He doesn't know that this is a theophanic manifestation of Christ. So a lot of times people have titles and they have them too fast. They're not mature enough to handle the title. But titles are from God because God is the one that gives them. One of the things that I did was I taught my children that when President Obama was running for president years ago, I said to them, they would call him Obama. Do not call him that. Call him President Obama. He's the president of the United States. Call him President Obama. Even when President Trump was in office and they called him Trump, don't call him that. Whether you voted for him, disliked him, or whatever, the title is to be respected and to be honored. I mean, and I think a lot of times, like I said, there are people who get these positions, they get them too fast, and they're immature and they become power hungry, not understanding that the position requires you to be a servant. Anybody can elaborate on that.
Let me say I totally agree with that assessment. I think titles are important. I think it's how you handle those titles
Yes.
and how you execute them that's critical. I think titles are needed because they help create structure and order. And so I
Yes.
think that's critical and very important. But how you use them, if that's the only thing that you're focusing on, and the way in which you use that title is not for the benefit of God and the elevation of humanity, then I think that becomes dangerous and it becomes more ego than anything else. And with every title, there must be development. So when I talked about you being a born leader, I also mean that whatever leadership title you go into, that leadership must be honed. It must be
Yes.
developed. It must be cultivated. It must be cultured. Um, uh, in our community, I often I'm just going to be honest with you. I see pop-up leaders, what I call pop tarts, people who just pop up and say, "I'm a leader,
Yeah.
and I'm going to lead this." And often they're pop tarts because they have the loudest voice, or they have a lot of people maybe following them. That just
Yeah.
because you have a followership doesn't necessarily mean that you're a leader. That's a big. You may have influence. You may have people who are following you because they like where you're going. But look, Hitler, have people follow him. That doesn't necessarily mean that he was a leader,
Sure
but he
did.
had an influence on people that unfortunately was detrimental to humanity. So it's very important how we determine and how we distinguish between leadership and titles, and making sure that you are mature in that position to become either the president or the CEO or so forth.
Yes.
I also love what you said, Pastor Perman, about using the titles for their proper purpose. Even though I'm not crazy about President Trump, the title was important. Unfortunately,
Yep.
he was supposed to represent that office.
Yep.
President Obama, even though he's not there any longer, he still should be referred to because that title was important. So I totally
It's
agree with that.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Bishop Brewer, I see you ready to talk.
Oh no, no,
Because
no.
you
I
you are
was
big on this. You are big on that statement. You really big on that.
well. Well. First of all, to Pastor Jesse, V, I because I learning your name, I had left off, and so I was gonna wait to the end to tell you about. Sorry for not adding the pastor or knowing your name perfect. And I have it right here in front of me. I just for some reason as I was talking, I was gonna apologize for that because I do believe who you are in the kingdom is powerful, it's been on display. So what I was going to say about Jesus, about moving too fast or getting something too early, even at 12 years old, he had the wisdom to be able to sit and to
Yes.
be able to converse with those around him in ways that they had not seen a 12-year-old ever do. Even those that at 30 years old is when you go into that type of rabbi and rabbinical, and he's already at 12 years old. But the Bible said that he went back home and he was subject unto his father and his mother. And so a lot of times leaders are popping up and they're not subject to anyone. They don't get a chance to grow. And so, but there was a result from Jesus going and being subject to his mother and father. The Bible said that in that time, the child grew and waxed
Yeah.
strong in spirit. But then it also said this, that he gained favor with God and with man.
Yeah.
So why have favor with man and not with God? And so you cannot have favor with God and not have favor with man. And so as you grow, God gives you that favor and that platform to lead because someone needs your leadership, someone needs your servanthood, someone needs your expertise. And so why would he put those things inside of you as a capacity and never expect you to draw out that? But a lot of time we must be subject to the Lord that we might grow.
Miss Shamika?
Yeah, absolutely. I like how Bishop Brewer said that perfection equals maturation, right? Like the Bible says, be perfect as I am perfect. That doesn't mean we're going to be down here and be perfect because we're going to make mistakes, but we can develop our maturity level. Also, if you are mature, when you get the title of CEO, founder, director, supervisor, it's an honor. So you're going to
Yes.
respect that position versus yielding it over the people and be like, call me founder, call me CEO.
Yeah.
Because it's not about that. That's leading from the top, right? Pouring down at the people versus developing your fruit of the spirit and being gentle and being kind, right? Kindness and the fruit of
Yeah.
the spirit should be developed with your leadership title. A title, it is given from God, but when people use it in the wrong way, a title is just a title. So honor it and respect it and lead people the right way and not dictate that over them.
I agree. I agree. Now, here's a question that was asked. The question should my pastor be my only mentor? Um, I'll start with you, Bishop Brewer. I think he froze.
Okay, we walk light. I mean, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it seems like you're frozen.
Okay, no, my phone, my computer was going dead. So, um, I'm gonna walk light here. Uh,
No, no. I
no,
want you to. I want you to
um,
put it out there because these are questions that are need to be asked. So if they're asking questions, they need to answer to them. So let's not walk lightly.
Well,
Let's just give it to them with tact and with taste, but we give it to them.
okay, we served under a pastor that believed that. Didn't let us go outside of the fold. Everything we needed was in that house, so to speak.
Yeah.
And we missed the other gifts. We missed the other gifts. The
Uh-huh.
TD Jakes, and so who I love since the day I got born again, even before. Uh Noel Jones, all those things that I come to sit under and take note from and just listen. I love people that stimulated the mind. Though our pastor stimulated our mind,
Right.
they didn't have she didn't have business
Right.
understanding, didn't have certain understanding. So I think you should have mentors. And I'm a gleaner. I glean from anywhere and any place. I just go in a place and I look around and then I ask questions. So I've always had that ambition, but we were closed in. So
Yeah.
if your pastor is, and I'll say this, unless your pastor is multifaceted, unless your pastor have a team, so to speak, a team where you can glean those things out. No, I don't think the pastor should be, because you got to have an understanding of marketplace. You got to
Yeah.
have an understanding of ministry. You have to have a marketplace. I have an understanding of different aspects of the motivational speaking aspect of my life. I couldn't get that from my pastor.
Not at all.
Uh, I can learn biblical truth, biblical things that I can use, but the Les Browns and others that I learned from and just listen to tapes and those things kind of enhance my life. So I say that with respect, that the pastor don't have it all, because the
Right.
pastor's still learning too.
Yeah.
There's a respect level that goes with the shepherd, that needs to go with the shepherd. But I do believe when it comes to mentorship and stretching out, you need a little bit more, and the pastor should understand that also.
I agree. Pastor Jesse?
Wow, I can't disagree with anything Bishop said. He's absolutely right. I think you learn from different genres, and there are
Yes.
some who are good at what they do and excellent. And you need to model that, and some who don't have that, and you need to go somewhere where you can get that. I only say make sure that it's under divine leadership. Make sure that it's under divine
Yes.
leadership. Make sure that what you're going after, you know that that person is doing it and is doing it from the heart of a servant's heart, and that you're going to benefit from it. Because here's what I've learned in terms of mentorship and trying to connect with folks. A true mentor won't be concerned about what you learn from them. They will actually encourage you to learn from what I'm teaching you and then use it. Even if you don't give them credit. Now, let me say you should always give your mentor credit. But even if you don't give them credit, they're so committed to you learning and developing and striving that they see your success as part of their success. And then there are
Yeah.
those who are concerned about not giving you everything, and therefore want to hold some stuff back because you might outdo them or outshine them. That's
Yeah.
the kind of leadership I'm saying, or mentorship I'm saying, be dangerous of. Because divine leadership says that God has given you a gift and you're to share it with people. And you're not
I
to
agree.
hold it and hide it and make it for your own. You know, what God has given you, you're to share it with everybody so that everybody can benefit. Why? Because you're here to establish the kingdom of God right here on earth. And that's the way we do it. So do you just focus on your pastor? I don't think you should. I think where you see that you can grow in other areas, please, by all means, take advantage of it, but make sure it's under divine leadership and divine
Yes.
guidance.
Miss Shamika?
So I'm super straightforward. I would say absolutely not. And I agree with everything my co-panelists have said. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason why I say absolutely not on your pastor is because there are certain areas that God put into your heart that you need to develop, and your pastor may not be able to help you do that. So Pastor Perryman is my pastor, and if I tell him I want to start a cosmetology business and I want to do makeup and hair, he can't necessarily help me with that, right? He's going to
Right.
be like, go talk to somebody else. So I think there's different mentors that are in different seasons of your life for different reasons. Because you need to develop certain skills in yourself. Your pastor's not going to have every single skill that you need.
I agree with that. I agree with that. Let me address it this way as well. Um, Everything has to be done decently and in order. The one thing that I never will do is do something that would bring dishonor or disrespect to my leader. For me, It's about the way I package something. I'm never gonna go um, if I want to be mentored by somebody else. I'm not gonna go and put it in a package of demanding, because to me it shows dishonor and disrespect to the person that God has called to cover my life. We have to remember that. And a lot of times this is where people who are in ministry or in business who are subordinate, they don't understand this. That the Bible says that this pastor covers your soul. They pray for your life, and you have to make sure you package things the right way. So I can't. For me, let me give you an example. All right, we're launching the church in Lancaster, right? We've been talking about launching this church in Lancaster for a while now. Okay, it came down to we build a team, like my pastor said, build a building, build a team that creates that's going to help you find buildings for the locations that you desire. We put that team together. Okay, the team here in the AV area basically found a location. All right. So now I got to go to my man of God. I go to my man of God, and I don't go to him from the perspective of, hey, I just found a building, we're gonna start church out here. No, I got to show him the highest honor. I go to him from this perspective. Hey, this is what you told me to do. I followed your instruction. This is what the team has done. A building has possibly been secured. I want to know if I have your permission to do this business, do this ministry here in Lancaster. And I put it to him from that perspective. If you say no to me, I will not do, I will not do it at all. I would be submitted to you like I'm supposed to be. And if you say no, I'll never bring it up to you again. Here's what he says to me. No, son, that's what I told you to do. Go do that. You have my permission. You didn't have to ask me that. I already knew that. But it's the way you package it to him. It's the way you package it to the leader. Now, like Miss Shamika said, if she's coming to me and she's saying, "Hey, Pastor, I want to learn something about cosmetology." I don't know nothing about cosmetology. What I'm going to tell her is, hey, this is what you need to do. You need to find somebody that can help you do this, that knows what I don't know. Because I'm smart enough to understand I don't know everything. I know I don't know everything. I'm smart enough to understand I don't know everything. But at the same time, you have to hold that pastor in high regard if God has called them to lead your life or to cover your life. Just because they don't know something doesn't mean they don't see something. That's the crucial part. Just because they don't know something doesn't mean they don't see something. In the same way you have children. Your child may be able to do certain things, but your child may not be able to drive your car yet. So there's certain things that you are able to see. There's certain friends that your children hang out with that you may be able to see that they don't see. That's not good for them. And so you have to be able to hold your leader in high regard. You have to have respect and honor for that person. But at the same time, it's how you package everything, and that's how I live my life. I hold my life, my leader in high regard. I hold him in high regard. I make it a point that if there's something I desire to do, I go get his advice on it. What do you think about this? Tell me, you were in this situation. What did you do? Because I understand he doesn't know it all, but there's some people that do know it all. So I glean from other people, but I do it in a respectful manner. I never push anybody else above my leader. It doesn't matter if it's a Bishop T.D. Jakes. It doesn't matter if it's a Dr. Creflo Dollar. It doesn't matter if it's an Apostle I.V. Here. It doesn't matter if it's a Les Brown. I put nobody above the leader that God has given me. And so I think that becomes the danger with a lot of people, that your pastor doesn't know everything. And I'm the first one to say it. I think you should be mentored by a lot of people, but not from the perspective where you are holding somebody else in a level that they should not be in. That's how I view it. That's how I see it from the scriptures. That's how I see it from the scriptures. Now, I pray that the questions are being answered, and anybody can give us feedback on it. Anybody can give feedback on it. Anybody.
I love your answer. I think that was great. And I also think that your hair looks good. So I don't know, Tamika, you may want to get some advice from Pastor Berman too.
Bishop
Love
Mickey,
your
go ahead.
love
I
your
know you love
response. I
Bishop
love it.
Brewer.
I agree. If God appoints pastors and puts that anointing on their life and that grace on their life, we should come and provide our information, our opinion, our desires to get that feedback, because you are directly connected to God. So God will show you things that maybe even we won't see, and you
Yeah.
can help guide us in that area that we need guidance in.
Because let's give an example. You did the other week. It's like, well, Pastor Perryman, I want to do da 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 da. I want to know what do you think about this? I hear I'm like, hey, I think that's a great idea. I think you should go for it. I think you should go after it. Use your expertise to do what you need to do. Because I'm never the pastor who stands in the way of people. I don't believe in having members. I believe in having people who are built up to go do what God has called them to do. I believe that. Hey, if God called you to sing, we need to get you going. We need to get you going. We need to get you, get you acclimated. If we can't do nothing right now at this moment, but get you singing one song a month or something, like we need to get you going. We got to get you acclimated. I'm the leader who throws you to the fire right off the bat. I already know you don't know, but I throw you to the fire on purpose because what I'm looking for is I'm looking for character and integrity in adversity. You don't know the job. I know you don't know the job, but I need to know how you handle yourself in character and adversity because there's other stuff I can teach you, but I can't teach you character and I can't teach you integrity. Can't teach you that. So I need to know how you function. So I'm the pastor who's big on pushing people to do what God has called them to do. I understand people were not saved to sit. They were saved to serve. And I want to see people serving. I just always put it out there to them. Make sure you be honorable and make sure you be respectful. These are the things that work. Anybody else? Any other questions that we have? Any other questions? Any other questions? We got a couple of minutes. Any other questions? Anybody else have questions? Put them out there. We'll be able to answer them for you to the best of our ability. Is there any other questions we have? If not, we'll get ready to close with this right here. Pastor Jesse, I was thinking about this as you were talking. And we asked the part about what inspired you to want to be a leader. But talk to us about your leadership institute that you have. There may be somebody who's watching today who probably wants to be a part of your leadership institute. So can you talk briefly about that?
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity to do so. I founded an organization called Heights of Greatness Leadership Institute. And I founded that organization because I realized that within each one of us, there is a desire to lead. And it is that leadership is focused on our development of our gifts. And that each one of us has a gift within us, whether it is a gift to sing, a gift to write, a gift to preach, a gift to teach, and that each of those gifts needs to be developed, honed, cultivated, and nurtured. And so, Heights of Greatness Leadership is designed to help you mainly focus on your leadership development skills. We focus on you becoming a prolific speaker. And if you're going to be a leader, you got to know how to communicate. Communication is key. And so we hold public speaking seminars and workshops and one-on-one coaching for mentorship to show people how to convey their message and how to try to do it in 20 minutes or 18 minutes as TEDx do their workshops, because we understand that the power of your words and the power of your presentation can have an influence and can serve as a way to really elevate your life to where you want to go. And so I always tell people in public speaking, listen, you can be a great public speaker, but two things you need to avoid. People will always focus on these two things. Number one, people will listen to you if you don't have subject verb agreement. They will listen to you
Yeah, that's true.
if you know how to if you know how to communicate well, even if you don't have all the facts together. If you make a mistake, they will even forgive you for that, but they will never forgive you if you're boring. If you're going to be a public speaker, you've got to be charismatic and you got to have some energy. I don't need even if you're speaking about math or science, you got to have that energy. And so we teach people how to raise that energy, how to bring. That's why when you see me when I come on with a lot of energy because
Yeah.
we're on Zoom, and I think everybody who can attest when you're on Zoom, you have a huge task ahead of you because you don't have that one-on-one conversation. You're going through a computer, so people have got to try to feel. So my goal is to get into the speaker, even if we're on Facebook, so that they can feel what I'm saying. And so we teach people how to convey that message, how to convey their public speaking, and how to convey their passion. And we also focus on how you do leadership. I realize that I totally agree with you, Pastor Perriman. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Now, I'm going to say that again, not some of it, but everything rises and
Everything.
falls on leadership. No matter where you are, no matter even if you're a secretary in a place that you're working, you are a leader, but everything rises and falls on your leadership. And so
Yeah,
you
good.
have to know how to interact with people, how to connect with people. And so we do coach on one-on-one coaching. We have what's called mastermind group sessions where we focus on leadership development. I'm a student of Dr. John C. Maxwell leadership, where I received my certification in his leadership organization along with Les Brown. And so we do mastermind groups. There's a book that I would encourage all of you to get entitled 15 Laws of Invaluable Growth. I think that is a book that is so powerful and inspiring, and it comes from a spiritual point of view too, but it also affects people who are not necessarily connected to the Bible. But I tell you, after reading that book, you will be connected to the God inside of you. And so that's how we develop our training, and that's how we develop our leadership skills. And so I invite people who are interested in that, please contact me. You can reach me at 661-992-9052. 661-992-9052, or you can visit our website, which is hgli.org, hgli.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor Jesse. Um, I almost said Pastor Shamika.
Amen.
Almost.
But Shamika, talk to us about we got about 5 minutes. Talk to us briefly here about your organization that you have, Youth with the Purpose. So talk to us about that right now.
Yeah,
How
so
can
Youth
people
with
be
a
a part of
Purpose.
it?
Okay. Youth with a Purpose was started in 2020 specifically to help our low income and our minority youth that are overlooked because they're not necessarily in the foster care system, they're not in the probation system. Maybe they have parents that have gone to jail or parents that are on drugs, and they are the kids that are usually missed. So I started my nonprofit to go into our low income communities and to bring resources to them in response to the school to prison pipeline. We know that African Americans and Hispanic students are usually funneled through the school to prison pipeline and have a future of juvenile and justice involvement. And we want to stop that. I believe that help, support, resources come from the community first, then school, then to careers. So going into our communities, we do mentorship, we do mental health peer groups. We call them Real Talk. We have outreach. We have a lot of the community events. Last year, we led a block party. We had a resource fair. So we're bringing a lot of the resources to the communities that actually need them. For people that want to be involved, we need volunteers. We need
Yeah.
guest speakers. We connect our youth to actual professionals. So last year we had a modeling workshop, we had a film day in the desert, we had Zumba classes. So we connect our youth to those leaders so that they can see if they're interested in those fields and career pathways. I personally believe that when kids are doing what they love to do, when they're having fun, they're expressing their passion, their purpose is found. Everybody has a purpose. It is our job as adults to bring that purpose out of our youth and to make sure that they're the best and the the most successful that they can be. It is our job to lead them in that. Our website is youthwapurpose.org.
Thank you so much. We're a little bit over our time, and that's just because we did a lot of panel talking in between and stuff like that. I am so grateful to each one of you for being on. I think we lost Bishop Tommy, but I'm so grateful to each one of you for being on today. And thank you for your wisdom, your expertise. Thank you for everything that you brought to the table. I appreciate it. And somebody had on the screen that we should probably do something along this line um, annually or something like that. I got to go back and see what was said, but somebody said we need to do this on a regular basis. Um, and I think the way we can get that done is get them in Pastor Jesse's leadership class.
We love that. We love
Get them in Pastor Jesse's leadership class, and but we want to make sure uh, that we reach as many people as we can. Before we get out of here, want everybody to know that hey, Kingdom Life Faith Center is coming to Lancaster, California. So hey, we will be on starting March 20th at 11:30 a.m. We will be here March 20, 11:30 a.m. on Division Street on J11 and Division Street. Hey, I'm telling you, we're going to have a great time in the Lord. So, hey, we want you guys to come on and to be a part. Listen, if you have not bought Miss Shamika Bogart's books, you need to get that. Her information is on the screen there where you can purchase the books that she has. Buy every book that she got. I'm telling you, it'll help you. She is also a personal mentor, personal coach. She can help counsel you. She can help you get certain things done. Last but not least, buy every book of Pastor Jesse. Get every book that he has. Discovering the Leader in You. I didn't even know you wrote that book. Discovering the Leader in You. Get the book on Leadership Connection, How to Delegate Effectively as a Leader. Wow, we talked all about this today, and he
Sure
wrote a book
did.
about it. So I'm telling you, so hey, get this information. I'm telling you, it's going to be good. Some of you should go back and rewatch this again, and so your life could be blessed. You may have missed some stuff, but you got to come back and watch it again. All right. Hey, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. For those of you who are part of Kingdom Life Faith Center, don't forget that we have the Better Self Small Group coming up this Thursday, the Better Self Small Group with Minister Casey Abner. And she's going to help you become better. She's going to help you get your credit together, help you get some other things together. And then last but not least, don't forget Miss Shamika Bogart this Friday in her youth small group. And I'm telling you, we're looking to change the lives of people, all right? So, hey, we got to go. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all so very much. And thank y'all so much for being a part of this Leadership Symposium. God bless y'all.